Let the good times roll. That song just came to, I've been listening to a lot of the cars lately. And I get my wire set here. And I felt like that was a good intro song. I'm a huge 80s fan. And I thought it would be great to start off the return of What's Your Question? And I had mistaken during Let's Talk Decoding. I thought it was number 35, but it's number 34. Next time I do the What's Your Question is going to be kind of special because it's tied to the 35 of my birthday. But anyways, how is everybody doing out there in the Syncretism world? I just got done doing the podcast with Santos, the great Santos Bonacci, and the bright mind of Christopher Campbell, the great syncretist. And we jumped into celestial consciousness, activating chakras and all that kind of stuff. And my mind was all over the place. It was a lot of fun. So if you were there, welcome to my channel, Decode Your Reality. My name, of course, is Logan. I'm going to be your tour guide tonight as we move from this Saturn day into Sunday. And it's the push-pull, as we talked about in the podcast just a little bit ago. Saturn is no, and the sun is yes. And it's this symbiotic relationship that the sun and Saturn have with one another. And it's really interesting. So welcome out, everybody, all you great syncretists, all you great decoders around the world, wherever you are. Let's get started. I'm glad to be back. I know I did Let's Talk Decoding number 3 on Wednesday, on Mercury's Day, but I haven't done one of these in quite some time. I went back to the US and I was gone for over 3 weeks. So I'm glad to be back in my environment, my warm, friendly environment of sunny and warm Mexico and Puerto Morelos, which is where I'm at. And it was nice to come back and get back to my, my calm, cool, and collective kind of energy. It's interesting because going back to the U.S., I hadn't been back to the U.S. in over a year. And it was nice to really look at the comparison between the two of the U.S. and the hustle and bustle, and then, comparing it to the quiet Mexico area that I'm in. So I'm glad to be back. I missed all of you too. So many great names in here. I really, sending you guys all a lot of love, man. And as the great Jordan from Waters Above Crypto, high vibes. My brother Jordan. I really have some great information to share with all of you. I'm going to feed off of your energy. And as you've been here before, I just kind of improv everything. I have nothing planned. Just kind of roll by the seat of my pants. So we got the music going, and I am ready to rock it out here with all of you. Let me just pop this chat out. And all right, cool. So let me just go through some of your comments here. All you great, just so nice of all you to join tonight. As I say like a broken record. You could have been anywhere tonight. You decided to come here and join me live and share in this decoding world. What a fabulous world to be in. What fabulous times to be in right now as we move into what appears to be the Great Reset, whatever that looks like. I'm excited. I'm kind of like, I just can't wait to get it over with because it's like there's so much anticipation. And I think a lot of us are just like, okay, enough already. Let's just get on with the show here. But I don't think there's just going to be some sudden thing. It's just going to gradually go into that. There may be some things coming down the pike which may not be so nice. But things that are necessary, part of the script, part of our predestination. I got some big news to share with all of you great decoders. I have some examples of some slides I'm going to be going through, some sneak peeks of some decodes that I'm working on currently right now. I'm going to show all of you great decoders, male and female, around the world, some of these sneak peek slides that I've been working on. But before I do that, let me just, give a big shout out to a certain few people that just come to my mind, and this is in random order. Ethan Rucker, the great Ethan Rucker, the decoder. I hope Ethan's with us tonight. This guy, sometimes I can't keep up with some of these decoders. Ethan sometimes is one of them. Very brilliant, genius guy, right? And he just knows what to go for to find the big nuggets. So big shout out to Ethan Rucker. Big shout out to Kevin Clark over in the United Kingdom. Another guy that I just, he's like the magic carpet. I can't keep up with that guy. His brain is like a supercomputer. Doesn't surprise me having the ace of spades as his birth card. Big shout out again to this, round of applause for the Syncretism Society. Just right down the street. It's awesome. It's like a 5-minute walk. Santos Bonacci, my really good friend Santos. Danny, who's been missed. Anne-Marie, Ricardo, all the instructors over there doing a great job. A big shout out to Devil's Playground, Nigel and Harry doing their part in getting their truth out to the world. Strength in numbers. And big shout out, of course, to Jordan, the great Jordan, the voice of Jordan at Waters Above Crypto. Just a blessing for the world to hear and see, is Jordan. And I can't wait to do another podcast. We just finished number 7, and it was let's talk about influencing, and then we're going to be moving on to podcast number 8. Don't even know what that's going to be. But through all these great minds and these like-minded people, I've been able to find other decoders that do their thing. And it's quite a ride seeing these other amazing minds doing their work. And, so big shout out to all those people. And, I just love collaborating with other like-minded people. And so I'm open to doing more collaboration with other people that want to share in this decoding work and research. So there's that. And then a big shout out to, last but certainly not least, a big shout out to Jason Bashir's over at the very up and coming Archaics YouTube channel. I mean, the guy went from 5,000 subscribers and doubled it within a month. I mean, he's blowing up. And the upcoming podcast live, you don't want to miss this one, next Thursday, or this coming Thursday, the 12th of May at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we're doing it on Texas time where Jason's at. I'm on Central Time. So, of course, it's going to be 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast and 5:30 p.m. on the Pacific Standard Time. And then you got to adjust if you're over in the European countries, et cetera, et cetera. You want to catch this one. We're going to be talking about the simulation theory, which I think is more fact than theory, but I just put that as the opener. We're going to talk about the simulacrum, which was what Jason Bashir's labels the simulation. And him and I are going to really break it down. We're going to chop shop, break down the numbers. I'm so looking forward to this live podcast. I don't know how long it's going to go. It will be right here on this channel, Decode Your Reality. We're going to be doing it through Zoom. Big shout out to Zoom. I don't get any sponsorship from them, but they make it happen along with YouTube. Big shout out to YouTube. See, I'm a fan of all these platforms because they allow me to use them. So of course, I'm grateful. I'm in a state of high gratitude. And I would encourage all of you great decoders to be in a high state of gratitude as well. Gratitude is where it's at. If you're going to pray, give thanks, give gratitude. You don't need to ask for anything because it's already a script that's predestined. Just give gratitude, acknowledgement for all the things that you're grateful for in your life. And those of you that are kind of on the negative side, on the downslope, where you're kind of looking at fear and you're fearing this and you're fearing the pole shift and you're fearing this organization is going to do that and they're going to do this and they're coming to get you. And what's the gratitude in your life? Focus your attention on your gratitude. I know all of you, no matter how desperate your life may be, some of you have something in your life you can be grateful for. And that's what we do here. Besides Decode Your Reality, because I'm going to tell you, when you get down to the really deep depths of the rabbit hole, it can get lonely because it's very challenging to take the information that you find at the deepest, darkest depths of the rabbit hole, bring it to the surface and feed it to the people on the surface. Whew. It's really challenging. So it can become a lonely world. So you just got to kind of laugh about a lot of things and then realize that when you get down to these deep, dark holes, you know absolutely nothing because it just gets so deep. It's easy to stay on the surface. Most people just want to stay on the surface. That's easy. That's easy street. But when you study the occult and the secret knowledge of the ancients, you realize that it's very deep. And the truth, perhaps, the truth that really is the 1 + 1 truth, can be ugly. But of course, there are some beautiful lights at the end of the tunnel. So anyway, so I got my tools of the trade here tonight. I'm using my bugs. I'm using my my Looney Tunes, my Looney Tunes card deck tonight with Bugs Bunny going down the rabbit hole. Got these here in Mexico, in Cancun, and my tarot cards. I don't have my medicine deck because I gave them to somebody and told them to keep them. So I have to order another deck. So that's what we got going on tonight. We got these decks. So let's jump into some of you great decoders and see what you got to say here. Let's just keep it at there are no rules here. I don't want to keep there's no restrictions. Just be a nice person. Put on your nice person face. Let people be themselves. Let's not use, like negative words and just being low frequency kind of stuff. Let's stay up here in these higher chakras and really just live and let live, right? Which is love is allowing. Let people speak what they want to speak, even if you don't agree with them. Just, you got to get in the practice, or you would be well served to get in the practice of allowing people to speak their truth and just being an observer. And it's challenging, and I speak from experience. But if we can do that, it brings the division back into a collaboration. Okay? All right, cool. Ooh, so all you great decoders, I love it. On a Saturday, too, a Saturn day. So today is May 7th. And the card for May 7th, I lost my graphic. I had to just quickly, that's why I was a couple minutes late. I had to make another one. It's not even the right one. But the card for today, moving into tomorrow, is this one right here. The Queen of Diamonds. This card. Oh. This is the Queen. So you got the Queen of Diamonds, Queen of Hearts, Queen of Spades, Queen of Clubs. But today is the Queen Diamonds card. This card right here. Folks, if you have not seen, here's a movie recommendation. 2004's Manchurian Candidate, starring Denzel Washington. It was remade from the 1962, I think, with Frank Sinatra. The Manchurian Candidate. And that movie was about a guy who had an implant and was being used by this right here. This is the 38th card in the deck. The Queen Diamonds. In the tarot, it's going to be, depending if you use the Fool as card 22 or not, it's going to be card number 76 or 77. Just depends on, how you kind of look at the cards. And you got to look at it from all different angles. But this Queen of Diamonds is card 38, and it's tied to the latitude of Washington, D.C., where the Central Intelligence Agency is at. They're in Langley, but it's on the same 38-degree latitude parallel. And, what's interesting about Washington, D.C. is that, let me just pull the card up just so you can see the relevance of how the tarot has its say in everything and how it's so valuable. And why I don't know why some other decoders who glorify themselves, they don't use it. They're just way behind the times, way behind the ball that's moving forward. But again, to each his own, right? So here we go. Today is May 7th. Right now in Mexico, just south of Cancun, where I'm at, it's the Queen Diamonds card. And the Queen Diamonds, this came first, and then the tarot came after that, and then here's the Queen Diamonds, it's the Queen of Pentacles. So there's the combination of them too. And the Queen of Pentacles is, again, card either 76 or 77. And 77 is a really big deal number because it's tied to iridium and the iris of our eyes. Think about mind control, implant, Manchurian candidate, 38 degrees north, Washington, D.C. What's running? Man's not running it. Nope. Now, you don't have to agree with me. But if you watch my videos, and many other decoders now coming out with their videos, they're showing the same patterns I am, that man could just never orchestrate the very detailed coding that's playing out in the background. It's just, there's so many moving parts, and everybody had to be in on the conspiracy. It just doesn't make any sense. But this Queen Diamonds, the 38, and 38 is the mirror of the 83. 83 is tied to the prison planet and bismuth, and 83 is tied to the color pink. That's why Pepto-Bismol is pink. Bismuth, Bismol, pink. It's interesting. And then bismuth is the number one element that is the most diamagnetic. There's dielectric and there's diamagnetic. And bismuth is the number one diamagnetic element, perhaps holding the earth in place. So that's what its job is. And it's the cone shaped, I feel. All right. I could go off on so many different tangents here. Let me just get into some of your... Oh, Jordan's here. Jordan, yes. See, I love when Jordan joins because his presence is felt. His presence is felt always. Yes, you can still ask about the medicine cards. Jackson Lewis, what is your interpretation of the natural law and how it should affect our decisions? Well, then we would have to define what is natural law. What is it? We'd have to start with that base of the foundation of natural law is ... What is it? So if you could give me an example. But no matter what, you're saying affect our decisions. You see, I've done enough decoding on myself, my family members, tons of readings I've done, people, places, and things, to see the patterns, to show without a shadow of a doubt that we are living inside of a script that was already written before we all got here. So you could break down the natural law, but you're living inside of a script that was designed specifically for you. And I think the key element to this is figuring out what your script is. That's where discovering your code comes into play. What is your code? What's your blueprint? What's your owner's manual? In your glove box of your car, you got the owner's manual. What's your owner's manual? Well, it has to do with the cards and tarot and astrology and your personality type and the Enneagram and the human design and the gene keys and all these great platforms, Mayan astrology, Vedic astrology, Western astrology. They all have their say. They all have their hand in your blueprint. And it's very dynamic. And it's really endless. Sabrina, I need to do my totem pole. Yes, all of you great decoders should do your totem pole. The totem pole is a very sacred thing to do. I learned it from a real Cherokee shaman that I met in Ojai, California, just about an hour and a half north of Los Angeles when I was there just a few years ago. And this guy was born on the 96th day of the year. And this was my confirmation. He was born on the 96th day of the year. So I knew, and I didn't know that until I was, getting a session with him, and he did my totem pole for me. And he does healing. And this guy got struck by lightning twice in 1 week. Can you imagine that? Twice in 1 week, this guy gets struck by lightning. And he felt like that was his initiation into becoming a real shaman. And he was half Cherokee, half Irish. Very unique blend of energy. And I learned a lot from that guy. He's such a sweet guy. His name's Patrick McBride. Still does readings in Ojai, California, out of Meg's Nut House, right in the central part of Ojai, California. And when I went to go see him, I got my totem pole done, and I didn't even know anything about it. And he's like, yeah, there's these medicine cards, 52 cards. They are animals, insects, reptiles, etc. In exchange of the 4 suits and the tarot, it's the 52 cards of the medicine deck. These were made in 1988 by a few different Native Americans. And I got my totem pole. He said, you only do this once in your life. One time. You could buy the deck on Amazon. They're called medicine cards. And there's a specific way to do it. It's like a ritual. I have a video on that in my catalog of videos on my channel. Just type in totem pole. I use Santos Bonacci as the example. He granted me the allowance of showing his totem pole. And it goes in increments of 13 years. Of course, the sun's pattern. So 0 through 13, 13 through 26, 26 through 39, and so on and so forth. And these go up the chakras. So when you figure out what animal, insect, reptile, etc. is living through these certain times of your life, you read about the card, you can see what energy is kind of ruling over you or what's working through you. And it's profound. Profound. So all of you should be definitely taking that into consideration and getting a set of those cards. They're like $30. You can buy the book, but you can find all the animals in the descriptions online as well. But I'd encourage you to buy the book if you want to support Jamie Sams, the creator of that. She's passed on now, but nonetheless, it's nice to support these great artists. So do your totem pole. Take it serious. Yeah, just big shout out to the artist called Symbiosis. That's the artist playing in the background. The album is called Across the Moment. Symbiosis. Interesting band name because I think we live in a symbiotic reality. Magnetism, electricity, the sun and the earth and the moon, all symbiotic relationships. Antagonist, protagonist, the superhero, the villain. They're both two sides of the same coin, but essentially they work in a symbiotic relationship. Draco is asking, was the moon landing fake? Well, I have to be super honest. I don't know. I was not there. Now, there are many conspiracies around it being fake. And when you put 2 and 2 together and use common sense and logic, and it begins to look a lot like there's some distortion in this story. I actually did a breakdown. I did the moon landing decoded. Go check it out. But there's a lot of stuff that's come out with the actual footage of it and all that kind of stuff. Alejandra, what do you have to say about the Queen of Clubs? Well, the Queen of Clubs is a very, very powerful card. Those of you that have the Queen Clubs card as your birth card, well, you've joined the ranks of Santos Bonacci. Santos, born on March 24th, has the Queen Clubs card as his birth card. Yeah, what a fortunate birth to be into. And, I'm not saying that this is going to be the high and mighty card above any other card. But what I will tell all of you, using this great card system that is tied directly into nature, 52 cards, 52 weeks, 4 suits, 4 seasons, that the Queen Clubs is the 25th card in the deck. This card 25. And the words Black Sun in numerology equals the number 25. And let me see if I have it up here. Do I have the chart? I do. Okay, let me just show all of you since some of you have asked. Let me show you this. So we have the boilerplate chart for the cards of illumination. And to the right side, we have the master life configuration. This is tied to your ego. And then to the left, it's the master spirit. This is your handler card. Like a dog gets handled by you if you have one. Well, what's handling you? Well, it would be this card. And you'll notice that in the very dead center, the bullet point here, the bullseye is the Queen Clubs. And it's ruled by strictly Jupiter because the planets run vertically right here down the middle. And so the Jupiter line is running this right here, all these cards. And then at the bottom, you also have them running horizontally. And so Jupiter runs this middle pillar here. And so it's the Jupiter card, the Queen Clubs card. And the Queen Clubs card is paired. All cards are paired with the exception of 3 cards, the King Spades, the Jack Hearts, and the 8 Clubs. Those of you that are those cards, those are just single cards. But the Queen Clubs card is paired with another card. And all we have to do is go over to the same side over here to the right, and we look and see here's the 10 diamonds, and that is the card that is paired with the Queen Clubs card. So it's the 10 diamonds and the Queen Clubs card. And that card, ladies and gentlemen, or these cards right here, are tied to the operating system. Using this system now. Why do I say that? Because the word operating system is 36, as I showed in my Wizard of Oz decoded. 36th card in the deck is the 10 diamonds card, the Jupiter card. And the counterpart is the Queen Clubs, the spirit card or the handler card of the 10 diamonds. What's fascinating about this 10 diamonds is the creator of The Simpsons, Matt Groening. This is his birth card. So think about what I'm telling you here and showing you. One of the most successful television show, the most influential television shows is The Simpsons, The Simpsons simulation. The reason why they're able to tell you, or one of the reasons why all these things are coming true, because the founder's tied to the operating system. He's being used, my opinion, but those are the 2 cards tied to the operating system. The Queen Clubs and the 10 diamonds. Pretty awesome, I think. Jack of Clubs, card number 24, tied to the word Thomas. Those of you that have the Jack of Clubs card for your birth card, there it is. Bada bing. Card 24, tied to Thomas, the twin brother of Jesus, tied to Lucifer. It's the Knight of Wands in the Tarot, which is card 34. And that's going to tie into the 8 diamonds, which you can put the sigil of Lucifer over that. It's just all connected once you can see all the numbers and how these things connect. It's a beautiful system. It's just magical. But the Jack of Clubs, man, it's the great thinkers, the outcasts, the people that, the Jack are the knights on the chessboard. The ones that go into battle. So you may have a rebellious streak to you. You may not like authority. Think about Lucifer, just like, I'm going to do whatever I want. You're not going to stop me. That's kind of the Jack Clubs. It's just interesting because Donald Trump, he's got this, tied to, his name. It's the Jack Clubs, which I broke that down in my Back to the Future Part 2. David Wynn Miller, Jeremiah Gabbard, nice to have you, brother. David Wynn Miller, interesting character. The challenge with David Wynn Miller, it's so complicated, the system that he has. And I've watched tons of interviews with this guy, the grammar syntax, and he's saying he went to the Vatican and they say, oh, you're a key maker and all that stuff. And it's fascinating stuff, but it's complicated. It's got to be an easier way. As far as the moon landing and all see, folks, I'm going to tell you straight up my opinion on what the hell's going on with these rockets and the moon landing. Look, I believe firmly that there are certain things that never happened. However, in order for them to manifest these things to happen, really happen, they need your energy. They need your magic. So if they tell you a story like, oh, Elon's going to send this roadster into space, and people are going to buy into that, I'm not saying he's going to send another one into space. But you see, the more energy that people focus on these ideas, the more likely they're going to happen in some way, shape, or form. So I think that those of you that believe that the moon landing never happened, great, maybe it didn't. But these people that are selling you that story and have gone all in with this story, perhaps they're all in and the whole purpose of this story was to actually get there, and they need your energy and magic to make that complete. It's just an idea to roll with. Because that's just straight magic 101. That's why Jordan and I did this podcast. We've done 2, deception versus influence, and then let's talk about influencing. And NASA, like them or not, it's not possible for the everything that they tell you is bullshit. That would be naive to think that everything they tell you is absolutely fraud and fraudulent and it's a bunch of lies. That would be ignorant on your part to believe that. They actually tell you some things that are true. Do they tell you everything that's true? That really is the 1 + 1 = 2? No. But they tell you some truths. And I think the reason why these organizations are in place is to influence enough people to get their magic to make things happen on the world stage, which ultimately is how magic works. That's why you have these influencers, these big influencers on the world stage, doing what people say is rituals. You do rituals all the time. I do rituals all the time. It's just you're not as a high level like these other people. They're orchestrating and have all this stuff in the background and there's all these things going off and it's high level magic. All of us do magic all the time. I'm doing it right now by speaking to all of my audience. You guys interacting, you're doing your magic. It's not in the same frequency as doing like a ritual where there's like thousands of people involved. And then like when you go to a sports game and you watch like the Super Bowl and it has a halftime show, that's something's getting all that energy's going somewhere. When you put your eyes on the 2 teams playing the Super Bowl, somebody's getting that energy. Obviously, the players on the field are getting energy. When they have their jerseys and selling their memorabilia and their cards, their football cards and baseball cards, their posters, they're getting energy from that. That's how influence works. It's just really basic that people don't look at the basic fundamentals of how it really works. And I'm going to get into this whole reality when I talk to Jason from Archaics and the simulation. I got a ton of questions. He's going to throw numbers. I already know what kind of, the Great Pyramid of Giza has something to that. I have a feeling if that was imploded, our reality would change just like that. But it never will because it's a wonder of the world. It's protected. Cannot get past the firmament. Well, what if there's time travel and you can go around those barriers? What if that's possible? See, we can't leave these ideas out. The firmament, yeah, I know. Werner von Braun and on his tombstone and Psalms and, the handiwork of the Creator and talking about the firmament. But what if you can actually go outside the realm of, physicalness and time travel and teleport? You'd be able to get past the Van Allen belt and the firmament and all that stuff. What if that's possible? We just don't know, folks. So we have to really kind of just throw it up in the air and say, okay, well, what's going on here? But make no mistake about it. I personally think that we live in a simulation. This is not real. It's Maya, as the Vedic, talk about. And it's just all bullshit. As real as it is, this is a real microphone. It's hard. I'm really flesh and bone. But it's a simulation. And we're just resistance inside this simulation. Where light slowed down into physical matter and we're resistance, like vibrating at a high speed. And then you have this avatar. But there's just so many things that we don't know. Thoughts on Abaddon? Abaddon is the angel that's going to be summoned from the bottomless pit. It's in the biblical text. I don't know what to make of it, to be honest with you. Apollyon, Abaddon, the Greek and the Hebrew. I just don't know. But I do know the Bible is a script. That I do know. But you got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you live in the country of India, the majority of people in India are not Christians. Yeah, there's some that live there. The dominant religion in India is either Hinduism or Buddhism or something to that nature. And their religion and their texts are different than the Holy Bible. Who's got it right? I know a lot of Christians, and I'm like, hey, have you ever read the Bhagavad Gita or, nah, I don't need to read that. That's all bullshit. The Bible is the only true book. I'm like, man, you're in a box. I don't say these things anymore because I don't care. It's like, man, expand your horizons. All these religions, what happened to the first? There used to be one, I don't know if you knew this or not, but common sense tells us, do you know there was only one religion back in the day? At some point in time, there was just one religion. One. Can you imagine that? Just one. Pretty simple. I like simple stuff. Now there's over 10,000. What the hell happened to the first one? What was wrong with the first one? Well, to me, logic and common sense. Well, do you own the same pair of underwear since you bought underwear? Do you own the same pair of socks, shoes, jeans? No, you get bored. Do you just go on the same vacation and you just do the same exact thing? No, even if you go to the same place, you probably do different things. Why do we buy new clothes, perfume, colognes? Why do we change eating habits? You get bored. And since we're kind of the architect here in human form, likes to experience its own creation. And if you did the same things over and over, life would get really boring. And so this religion thing, it's all the wardrobe of the architect or architects. It's like, that one's a little outdated, the first one. And then it branches off into, Zoroastrianism or whatever. Some of the older ones. Hinduism is the oldest known ancient text on the planet, according to archaeologists and historians. And Hinduism, not Christianity. By the way, just, it doesn't mean that Hinduism is the only text to read from, but it has its say in some things, and I think it's just a wardrobe. And they talk about, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Brahma's the creator god. Brahma equals 15 in numerology, tied to the devil card. And it's just really interesting when you properly synchronize all these with multiple layers: numerology, the cards, tarot, astrology, mythology. When you really you compile them nice and you just lay all the numbers and you look and just put it together like a puzzle, you start to see that they all connect to the same thing. The Quran, the Allah, it's just all the same thing, just packaged differently. Can I talk about the Mandela effect? Yeah, I will. A lot of people ask me about this, ask me about doing a decode. I don't even need to do a decode on it because you can see it yourself. Plenty of videos out on the Mandela effect. I just don't really have any interest in it, to be quite honest. Because something has to grab my attention, and then I'm kind of my voice in my head's like, okay, do the Mandela effect. Or I just instinctively know to do decodes. But the Mandela has the word Ma in it, just like the Matrix, or the Mason. It's Ma. The Mandela effect. It's right there, the M and the A. And I believe that the reason why the Mandela effect is happening is because we're having this new energy being ushered into this reality. And it's causing a lot of haywire going on. And it also could be part of maybe CERN digging into the quantum with their Large Hadron Collider and causing, and whatever else is happening with, you get the D wave up in Vancouver and they're doing their thing. And there's all this craziness going on the world stage. So you can see there's so many different areas to talk about, but the Mandela effect, the biggest one for me, I'll just leave you all with this right here. The biggest one for me, and the one I knew, and I don't even need to see any of the other ones. I know those are the Berenstain Bears, Sex and the City, all the typical ones. But the main one for me that absolutely takes the cake was the movie Risky Business, Tom Cruise, the main scene when he slides into the living room with the button-down polo shirt and the underwear, and he's wearing the Ray-Bans. But now when you go to that movie scene, he's not wearing the Ray-Bans. I know he was wearing the Ray-Bans because it's on the movie cover. And that was the biggest one for me. And I just was like, okay, well, something's up with this Mandela effect. But I think that it's caused by whatever the exchange of these ages that are coming in. I think that's what's going on. Jason May or Logan, Christine. So I'm assuming Christine is your wife or girlfriend. She's the king of clubs, card number 26, and you're the 10 of clubs, card number 23. That gives you, so when you have a partner, those of you that are married or you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, or even father, mother, siblings and all that, I showed that in my Prison Planet Part 2, how my family is scripted. My family. And my family, by the way, my mother, father, and sister have not watched the video that I put out. And if they did watch it, they probably wouldn't understand it because you'd have to go all the way back. You have to study this stuff. That's why I'm saying when you get down to these deep, dark layers of the abyss, the decoding world, it gets very, very troublesome or challenging to explain it to other people so they can understand it. It's really challenging. And then you're going to be called a nut and a wacko, and you can be anyway. But those of you that have girlfriend, boyfriend, partners, you can take your two cards and you can combine them together. Now, my friend Sharon Jeffers, the great card reader, she's been reading cards for over 30 years. She's got books out, Cards of Destiny. You should probably buy her a book. She has this methodology of where she takes the two cards that make up your relationship and she marries the two cards together. So we're going to take Jason here as the example. And you have Christina, who's the King Clubs, card number 26. And then Jason's the card number 23. And these marry. They combine and become a compound. Just like, when you reduce down in numerology, you're taking like the 56 reduces down to the 11. That's a compound reducing down to a single digit. The rules of numerology. You can do it that way. And then the 11 reduces down to the 2. So 56 ultimately, which is lights, camera, action, which runs the simulation. It reduces down to the number 2, and that number 2 is duality, yin yang. And that's run by Taurus, the bull horns, and its Lord S is Venus. And the game needs players, which is why Venus rules the lower chakras. That's where all the humping goes on. Anyways, when you take these two cards right here and you marry them together, you just add them up and you get the 26 and the 23, which is going to give you the 49. And that 49 is going to be, if you get a card that's above 52, like let's say you have a total of 62, your two cards, you would then subtract 52 out of the total 52 cards in a deck until you get to 52 or below. So if you land at 52, from the two cards that you've compounded together and added up, you stay at 52. You don't move from that. It would be the King Spades card. So as a couple, the energy together forms the King Spades. And you would just go read about that card. But since Jason's asking about him and Christina, it's the total of 49. And 49 is the very magnificent 10 Spades card. So that's what you guys add up to. So you would want to go read about the 10 Spades card. Okay? I'm going to show all of you a shortcut on how to do that. Let me just show all of you. Let me just show you a shortcut. So when you go to it'sallinthecards.com, it's going to look like this right here. And you can click on learn more, and it's just going to bring you to right here. So you're going to look up your card. Now, a shortcut to do this is right up in the web address here. So I'm just going to pick anything, June 10th, whatever. Okay. So, oh, hey, Jordan, what's up? 7 of diamonds. So let's just say I want to look up another card. So Jason was the 10 clubs. So you come up here in the browser, and right after the separation of it'sallinthecards.com, you have the actual abbreviation of the card. I'm sorry I can't make it bigger, but it's the 7d.html, and you would just get rid of the 7d and just type in K for king and C for club, and then just hit enter, and it's going to take you right to the king of clubs. Give you another example. If you want the 10 of clubs, you would just eliminate the K and C, type in the number 10 and C for club, and hit enter, and you'll have the 10 of clubs. You can do that with any card. Just remember that you can only do it with lowercase letters. It will not allow you to do it with uppercase. Okay? So all of you should do that if you have a partner in your life, and get Sharon's book. It's called Cards of Destiny. And read. She's tapped into the code. Three of diamonds and 4 of diamonds. 3 of diamonds is card 29. 4 of diamonds is card 30. That's 59. Then you would take the 59, subtract 52, and you'd get the number 7. And that would be the 7 of hearts. That would be your card, composite card as they call it, for whatever. Your avatar's whatever. And you can do it with your whole family. If you got kids, you take the husband, wife, and the kids, put all the cards together, add them up, reduce it down by 52 until you get to 52 or below. It's pretty awesome. It's just another way to look at the cards. How can I raise my vibration? Joel Miguel is asking, how can I raise my vibration? Well, I mean, I would start with your physical first, because that's the easiest. And just focus on what foods you're eating. It's very simple. And the easiest way is whatever you're going to eat or drink. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to be very vulnerable right now. And today's my reward day. And when I don't do cheat days, because the word cheat makes you feel guilty. So those of you that have been using and speaking that spell, oh, I'm going to cheat today. Well, that is a negative word, cheat, because cheating is, no one wants to get cheated on. So cheating is going to subconsciously make you feel like you're doing something wrong. So my suggestion is switch that to saying today's my reward day. I'm rewarding myself for being so good. And for many years, I only had one reward day a week, which meant I had no garbage food, nothing, clean food for 6 days of my week. A lot of water, a lot of veggies, et cetera, et cetera. And then on your reward day, you indulge a little bit. Well, I'm just going to use this as an example. I'm a fan of this right here, right? I occasionally have chocolate. I like it. And this right here, I mean, if I pick this up and I ask this food, is this food going to give me life? And all of you should know automatically, freaking absolutely not. This is not going to give you any life. It may give you a sugar high. It may give you satiation in the taste buds. It may make you feel good. Like, oh, that tasting. That's why you have it. This satisfies your lower chakras, your primal, your devil. The lower chakras. This does. So this is what I call a dead food. And the opposite of dead is alive. So if you grabbed an apple, that's an alive food. Is this apple I'm about to eat, is it going to give me life? Yeah, it's a supporter of life. The apple is. Broccoli, vegetables, juice. So when you start with the physical about raising your consciousness, you start with, is what I'm about to eat or drink, is it dead or is it alive? And if you were to keep track, if you were to keep a log of all the foods that you eat on a daily, and I did it for years as a bodybuilder, I was meticulous, especially when I was competing. Every day I'd write down everything I ate and everything I drank. I keep track of my water. Many of you are not even hydrated. You're chronically dehydrated. Many of you don't go to the bathroom regularly. This is all things that are going to lower your frequency. And so the very best thing any one of you can do that want to raise your consciousness, start with your physical. And you start with your nutrition. Keep a log of everything you eat, right down to the bite of a candy bar. When I do nutrition counseling for people, I'm like, I need to see everything you've been eating for the past 3 weeks. I need a log. Before I even start with you, I need a log of 21 days of everything you eat. Don't skimp on it. Don't lie. It's only going to hurt you. And then you go over those 3 weeks of food and water and you see how many dead foods they eat versus how many alive foods they eat. You can start to see it. And the dead foods are going to be very acidic and they're going to take life from you. And the alive foods obviously are the opposite. They give you life. They keep you alive longer. The decay process gets slowed down. So that's the best way to really raise your consciousness. And then when you get the temple cleaned, then everything starts to fall into line. I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to be straight up with all of you. As soon as I went plant-based, my decodes freaking took off like a rocket. Now, I wasn't running a parallel life, so I can't go back and say, well, if I would have continued to eat animals, would my decoding be at the level that it's at? I can't authentically say that. But I do know for sure that when I stopped eating animals, my life and my decoding took off like a rocket. Yeah, I was challenged with, I got anemia a few times because when you go plant-based, you got to supplement with most of the time, you got to supplement with a vitamin B12. No big deal. Vitamin B12 is cheap. So those of you that want to go plant-based, just take that into consideration. But that's going to raise your consciousness from the physical. And then everything opens up, I feel. And that raises your consciousness. And I feel like that's when you get in tune with the code, the source code. Walnuts are great. They're not the greatest tasting nut, but man, they're high in omega-3s. Well, I shouldn't say high, but they have omega-3s. And most people here right now are deficient in some kind of vitamin or mineral. So just remember that your body requires right around 91 vitamins, minerals, omegas, amino acids. It needs about 16 minerals, 16 vitamins, your omega-3, 6, and 9s, and then your essential amino acids. These are the 91. 91 equals the word battery in numerology. Go figure. You see how you properly synchronize this just with nutrition? It fits right in there. That's why I know numerology is a beautiful expression of this source code. But this is the things your body needs, and the majority of people out there do not get the 91 essential elements and minerals and all. They don't get it. You don't get it. So you decay faster. That's what happens. If you don't give your body the raw materials, it just is like, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to whack you with a disease, or I'm going to whack you with a sickness, or you go to the airport, you're going to get a cold. I have no problem going. I don't fear that crap anymore. My immune system's high. So my immune system takes care of all the crap that I get surrounded by when I go out in public. I don't have to do the airborne garbage. Just take my vitamins, take my green vibrants, take my multivitamin, take my trace minerals, and I eat the hell out of plants and vegetables. That's what I do. And I would encourage all of you to consider that. And, it's your journey, but that's how you raise your consciousness. And then everything just falls into line. Oranges are amazing. Oranges are amazing. I love oranges. I get fresh orange juice right down the street. I love oranges. I eat the hell out of them, especially mandarins, clementines. Whew, they're awesome. Anything fruit, vegetable, I eat it. I don't even worry about is it acidic? I just eat them all because it gives you life. If it's a source food that you can pick off a tree, eat the hell out of it. Do I have pictures of my muscle days? I do. I have a few here and there on my computer, but I don't know where they're at, and I'm not really inclined to even. Yeah, I used to be 30 pounds heavier, yeah. My biggest, I was 227, and I competed around 210, and then, I don't know. You guys probably, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, but I was a lot bigger. Vitamin B12 supplements didn't exist long ago. Absolutely not. They didn't. We were getting it through source foods. But unfortunately, in today's society, the source foods that we get are lacking the minerals and nutrients. And, Mr. Poop, if you're going with, they used to eat meat back in the day. Well, that was then. We're in a different scenario now. We now have the aspects to take in vitamin B12 as a supplement. And again, this is not poo-pooing on anybody out there that is still eating animals. If that's what you feel like you want to do, then go for it. I'm so neutral. Even today when I smelled some chicken here today. I was like, oh God, it smells so good. I mean, I've been eating plants and vegetables for a long time now, and I still crave meat. So I know. And I have a lot of people that come and they, it's all energy. And yeah, I know. But, if you believe in the statement, you are what you eat. If you believe in that, now you don't have to, but a lot of people do. You are what you eat. So if you eat an animal, does that make you an animal? I would say so. See, I don't want to be an animal. I want to be a higher frequency than that. And on top of that, I love animals. So for me, I don't do it for the health purposes. I do it for the ethics. That's why I don't eat animals. But to each his own. But I just know that for me, you are what you eat, and that's it. Sea moss is amazing. Have I decoded the 91 essential minerals? Well, it's vitamins and minerals. Yes, I actually have a video out on the Syncretism Society exclusively for the members. It's called The Essential Body. I'm going to probably come out and put it on if you want to go and subscribe to my new channel, there's only just the intro video, but it's called Cosmic Sugar on YouTube. I'll have to probably put it into and pin it after Because if I log out now, it'll just kick me out of here. But my Cosmic Sugar brand, I'm going to be creating that. I'm creating content for that based solely on, raising your frequency through nutrition and, other things such as astrology and the mystical art platforms and stuff like that. It'll be an extension of Decode Your Reality, but it'll be more in line with raising your frequency based upon a lot of nutrition and stuff like that. Vitamin C17, I don't know really much about that. Any thoughts on the Pope's headwear in correlation to Dagon? Yeah, I mean, the fish is Pisces. I mean, it's a no-brainer. The fish hat that they wear, the tall, silly-looking costume, the fish hat, it's Pisces. The church came into existence during the Piscean age. And Pisces is the house number 12, tied to magnesium, the mag. What about all the GMO food? Yeah, what about it, I mean, look, folks, if you eat a food and your gut doesn't, your body responds, so you got to listen to your body. First and foremost, in nutrition, those of you that don't feel good, those of you that have illnesses, diseases, your body's not at ease, right? Dis-ease, dis means to be away or take from. Sick. If you have some kind of reaction when you eat, something's not working right. So I did a lot, when being a nutritionist, I did a lot of studies into the body being an electrical source of energy and its voltage. And the stomach is the area that, of course, is very acidic and it breaks down the food. But unfortunately, because of the demise of the soil and everything being depleted through time and the earth just not being as vibrant as it once was, many people, maybe you, have a condition known as low stomach acid. And low stomach acid can give the effects of what appears to be GERD or heartburn. So when you eat something like a sugar-based or starch-based, you may, or breads or something, you may get heartburn from that. And typically from what I've seen, it's because you have low stomach acid. And then you can take a product called betaine, which is hydrochloric acid pills, to help your body recreate the stomach acid and help you digest that food to get rid of the heartburn. But it doesn't solve the problem. And the reason why you don't have enough stomach acid is because the body's not getting the essential nutrients and vitamins it needs on a day-to-day basis. And over time, the body, as I said earlier, just says, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. And bam. And there's all these other conditions as well, mercury in the mouth, you get slow mercury toxicity trickling down. And, it's just, there's so many layers to this. Your dental health, all the meridians tied to the organs in the body and root canals. And there's just so much content to figure out. But I can tell all of you, if you're sick or something, you need to check off the list, the basics. A lot of people go to the doctors, they don't even have the basics checked off the list. A lot of people go to the doctor, they're chronically dehydrated. They're a desert. And when you're a desert, shit starts to dry up. The organs don't work when they're dry. Your body's made up of primarily water. So you need to be hydrated first before you even go to the doctors and say, hey, I'm really tired all the time. Well, dehydration is the number one cause of daytime fatigue. How much water do you drink? And what kind of water do you drink? And it's going to be different for everybody, but 3 liters of water is a good start. 96 ounces of water. I know that may sound a lot like to a lot of people, but that's probably because you're dehydrated. So you need to check off the list hydration. Bam. Then are you getting the 91 nutrients and vitamins and minerals? Check that off the list. And wait about 3 weeks. And do that every single day. And then see if any kind of your conditions change. Then you can go to the doctor and say, okay, I'm doing all these things. Check, 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 check. What's wrong with me? But people don't do that. They just run to the doctor or they go online and they look for a diagnosis and they don't have all the basics covered. You're going to get a wrong diagnosis. But the GMO foods, I mean, the question was, what about them? Well, a lot of people have a reaction to eating these genetically modified foods, and then you're going to get into perhaps the gluten sensitivity. And from my research, studying with a lot of top nutritionists, it's not that you have a gluten sensitivity, you have what's called the glyphosate sensitivity. And glyphosate is what's in Roundup, the chemical spray. And that chemical spray was originally used to clean out the metal bins in trains. And then somebody found out that it kills the weeds, and bam, there it was. And so it's spread on a lot of the crops, and that is what people get sensitive to, not the gluten, the wheat. They spray it on the wheat, but it's not wheat sensitivity, it's a glyphosate sensitivity. It's a chemical sensitivity. Naturally, we don't want chemicals in our body. So the GMO foods, of course, come in line with that. I know I kind of went off on a different, but these are important layers to take into consideration. Jerry, do I drink Evian out of plastic? Yep, I do. I'm not perfect with my glass. I can't find a glass at the grocery store. I have a copper vessel. And when I was in the US, I buy the big Voss, and I buy like 3 of them, and I just reuse them and I clean them out. And I'm typically in glass, but sometimes I drink out of plastic. I know it's not the best for you, but I do so many things right, and I do a few things that are iffy or wrong. I'm not perfect. Mushrooms are very healthy. They have great mushroom powders. Are bananas clones? Well, supposedly they're not the original bananas, because original bananas had seeds in them. But I know plenty of people that eat a lot of bananas and they're just fine. So again, the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, the rule of thumb as a nutritionist, when I do nutrition counseling and I go and help people, I'm like, I need to see everything you've been eating for the past 21 days. Imagine I come to you and say, hey, I need to watch everything you're eating. You'd probably freak out. And then, what a lot of people do is like, they're on their best behavior. I don't want you to be on your best behavior. Just be you. Don't try to make yourself look good. That's what most people do. That's what life is. Life's about looking good. So you're going to naturally be like, oh, I'm not going to have this. I normally have this 3 times a week. I'm not going to have it for 21 days because someone's watching me. No, I want it just be you. What you normally would eat, because that's the only authentic way to be when you're doing counseling from a nutritionist or whatever. And then you observe someone's eating plan. It's really simple, man, to fix and correct your issues. Write down everything you eat for 21 days. And then go back and look at it and start to circle the things that are dead. And those of you that are not healthy, you're going to find a hell of a lot of what you've been eating are dead foods. And it's causing to your decay faster. And, when you go to the grocery store and you walk in, everything's all dead, right? It's like amazing. I just went back to the US. I hadn't been back in over a year. I walk in the grocery stores and and they do it here in Mexico too, but in the US, it's so dominant. You walk in and just like everything, when you first walk in, it's all acidic shit. It's all lower chakra. It's all satiation and things that make you feel good. Releases the dopamine and that's the stuff that backs you up and makes you decay faster. Got to stay away from that kind of stuff if you have health issues. Hydration is also about absorbing. If you're just filling, you're going to absorb all the water, but it's just a matter of, the clue is what kind of water are you drinking? How many parts per million is it? Is it at least, it doesn't have to be alkaline. I'm not really a huge fan of the high alkaline water. I think it just needs to be what nature is, just like the blood, just right past neutral. 7.3, 7.4, just right there. And then your body will do the rest. Oh, apple cider vinegar is freaking amazing. Apple cider vinegar, I'm a huge fan of Bragg's. grab a bottle of apple cider vinegar, do a couple tablespoons at night before you go to bed. Just put it in a glass and then dummy it down with some water. And man, that stuff is awesome. It's good for eczema and for me now, ladies and gentlemen, since we're on this food thing, for me now, and I'm a huge fan of the book called, if you want to read a good book, it's called by Dr. Joel Fuhrman. It's called Eat to Live. That's my motto. I eat to live. Yeah, I indulge once in a while on the dead foods, but I'm a simple eater. My body tells me whether or not I should be having it. Back in the day when I was younger, I could just eat pizza all the time and just whatever, breads, and not now. If I have pizza 2 days in a row, my stomach gets real bloated and my body's like, it doesn't want it anymore. So I eat a lot of plants and it just makes me feel good. So I eat to live. I think eating to me, it's fun, it's great, but it's kind of a nuisance. It's like going to the bathroom. It's a pain in the ass. Like I got to get up and go to it's like, come on. Like, I don't want to have to be doing this stuff. I got stuff to do. Not only that, but no matter what, eating is starting the engine. And when you start the engine in your car and you drive it, you put miles on it, that depreciates the car. What do you think eating does to the body? It depreciates it. So actually, when you don't eat, it's really healthy, but it's a catch-22 because if you don't have certain foods, you don't get the nutrients that the body needs for raw materials. I think distilled water is great, but not for long periods of time because it's stripped of all the nutrients, and that's not the way water was intended. So I think it's good to do once in a while, but not all the time. That's just my opinion, Steve Smith. And I'm not alkaline water. I'm just, I used to be a big fan of it. I have a really good friend in Los Angeles. He's got a water. It's called Zutra water, and he's got a high alkaline water. I'm a fan of it. Like if you're eating a lot of acidic foods, a lot of dead foods, and you want to balance that out, yeah, the alkaline water is going to help you out for sure because it's going to balance out a lot of the stuff that's going on. But that's not the way nature's intended. As a matter of fact, if you go too high alkaline, that can kill you as well. So it goes both ways. It's neutrality. Just like I've been saying with decoding, and neutrality is where you want to be. The middle path. That's with water as well. The middle path, slightly alkaline, which is ironically, which is what Evian water is. It's slightly alkaline if you put the pH strip in there. Slightly. It's not like full blown, like 8.5. And a lot of people are now programmed into this high alkaline, like, oh, it's 8.5 and 9. That's what I'm going to drink. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of, I like, what's the really popular one that's the black label? Essentia. I like the taste of that water, how soft it is, because they put the minerals in there. It's a high alkaline water, but I wouldn't drink it all the time. Don't eat the impossible meat. So yeah, if you're plant-based, you have the option to buy the Impossible Burger or the Beyond Meat. I love them both. I had it a few times when I was visiting the US, and it's amazing what you can do with it. But again, I mean, what's worse? So it's like, again, folks, just moderation. Once in a while, it's okay, but it is processed heavily. So you got to take that into consideration. You don't need the Kagan water filter, folks. You don't need that. You don't need a $5,000 machine. But I mean, a good way to test your body is by the little test strips. And, every time you wake up, just take a leak on one and see what it looks like. Do that a couple times a day and gauge your urine. And if you're peeing out, the strips and they're yellow, you're acidic. And then you want to get to, a nice deep green. That's going to be, or at least a green. You're going to be balanced. That's where you want to be. At least give the body a chance to do what it needs to do. But when you're always in the yellow, if you buy the strips and you're peeing on it and it's yellow all the time, your body's in a constant state of acidity, and that's going to make you not only decay faster, but it's going to give you a whole host of problems if you just continue on that path. Raw milk, Erico Nick, raw milk. I did a lot of studies on raw milk. I think it's very, very nutritional. I think it's very beneficial. I know a lot of people would be against that, and they're gonna be like, oh, someone had posted a comments with all the animals that, drink up. But folks, I mean, there are benefits in eggs. I still consume them. I just drink them because I never was an egg fan, but they're acidic. But they have a hell of a lot of, good proteins in there, amino acids, vitamins, and it's not an animal. Just for you people that think it's not an egg is not an animal. There's no embryo inside of an egg. The yolk, is called the vitellus, and that feeds the embryo once the embryo is developed around day 21 after it's been incubated. But it is acidic. All milk products are acidic. You can't just be all alkaline, folks. Well, I shouldn't say you can't. Some people are just all fruits and vegetables, and that's it. But I still think, like, being a fruitarian or whatever, I think that's a bad idea. Honestly, that's just my opinion. Yeah, and pasteurization. I mean, when I go down to right down the street here, just a 2-minute walk, is a juicery, and they have great stuff: grapefruit juice, clementine, orange, coconut. But their orange juice is bomb, and it's so inexpensive, and it's not pasteurized. And I go back to the US, and I tried one of the juices, and I'm like, man, it just doesn't taste the same. It doesn't taste good, actually. So pasteurization, they heat it up, of course, and heat destroys and changes the whole molecular structure of the juice itself. And, that's just going to be a huge change in your body as well. Sleeping Beauty 555. Yeah, you need meat. Well, I guess that will be your opinion. I don't agree. There are plenty of people that don't eat meat at all. And I mean, you can get everything from plants that you get from meat. Everything. So you don't need the meat. If you think that, that's totally fine. And again, I'm not saying you're wrong. Some people actually, believe they need the meat, and I'm not here to take that away from anybody. So the body doesn't need meat, folks. That's just, go study nutrition, because that's just a really ignorant statement. That would be somebody who eats meat and wants to defend the meat. And I'm not defending being, a plant-based eater, right? I'm not vegan. I don't even go by that word, right? But I certainly know that the body does not need an animal to survive. That is absolutely an ignorant, and that's not even a factual statement. That is completely defies the whole laws of science. Body does not need meat. Do I sun gaze? Yes, not as much as I want. But thanks for the reminder. I should be doing it every day. I want to cure my eyesight. I want to make my eyesight perfect again, and I know sun gazing can do that. Reverse osmosis water, great. I mean, that filters it out. Seafood is the best flesh to consume. Well, I mean, it depends. Are you talking about lobsters and crabs, which are scavengers that feed off of crap. No, I would say they're the parasites of the ocean. If you're talking about fish, well, that's a different story. I would say, I mean, if I were to go back and eat animals again, it would be fish. I mean, especially if go into the bodybuilding world, and when I was competing, I used to eat a pound of meat a day. For years, I did that. 1 pound, 16 ounces every day or more. And then when it's time to compete and shed the weight, and you go to fish, because fish is just going to lean you up, right? So fish, of course, is the last resort of the proteins, and that's what I would consume if I were to go back to eating animals again, would be fish. Cheese is tough to give up. Yeah, a lot of things are tough to give up when we're in the habit of eating them. Cholesterol in legs. Yeah, well, there is cholesterol in eggs, but again, everything in moderation. Just a reminder to all of you, testosterone is made up of over 90% of cholesterol. It makes up testosterone. Cholesterol does. So it's essential to have. It's just, you got to keep things in moderation. And the key is, as a nutritionist and doing this for so many years, what does your blood look like? Many of you right now have not gotten a blood panel in years. You don't even know what your blood looks like. You don't know if you're deficient in this, if you're good here, if you got discrepancies there. What are you waiting for? Those of you that are in the US, you can get a blood panel for under $100. And I know that may be a stretch for some people, but man, this is your lifeline. This is not like you're spending money on a phone or something you don't need. Blood panels are essential to do at least every 6 months. Moon gazing. I don't know. I've never really done moon gazing. Skufu. How can you be into... I'm not into gematria. I'm into numerology. But anyway. And the false matrix. There's nothing false in this reality, by the way. Everything just is. So we live in an illusion. Yes, we live in a simulation, but the simulation's quite real. There's nothing false about it. And if you're talking about Joel Furman, I don't really care about his ethnic background. The book is pretty freaking amazing. Maybe you should pick it up and read it. That's called Eat to Live. It's I care more about the content and what it does for a person versus what their background is. I think you probably should put yourself in check. I think you're looking at things a little bit far off into a distant land. It's all about how your observations are in life. Mr. Poole is the Riddler for cryptocurrency. That'd be a question to ask for Jordan. I don't think he's still with us, but Jordan would be the person to ask for if that's what you're referencing is Mr. Poole and the Riddler for cryptocurrency. Yeah, gorillas, this is an interesting thing because a lot of vegans will go with that. They'll be like, well, gorillas are really big and muscular and they eat plants. Yeah, but their code is different than a human being. The way they were programmed in their code, the genetic makeup of a gorilla, they were coded to be really muscular. So we can't use that as an analogy to say, well, they eat plants and look how big they are. To me anyway, that just is not a fair kind of connection. Because we're made up way differently, especially when you look at the esomorph, the endomorph, these body structures that we all are, skinny and, whichever one you are. You have to play that into it as well. Are you big boned in a sense? Because we all have the same kind of shapes and sizes, but some have bigger than others. And there's all these factors to take into consideration. What about butter? Well, I mean, butter is it's a good fat. It's a good saturated fat. I have nothing against it. I've kind of lost the taste of it though, myself. I started to go to coconut oil. Like if I have an English muffin, which I don't have that too much because my stomach can't handle it, but if I have an English muffin, which I love, I put coconut oil and salt on it, and then I tried to go back to the butter. I think in 2019, I went to ghee butter. I just don't like the taste of it. Even on popcorn, I'd rather have coconut oil. But I've just moved my taste buds naturally that way. I love popcorn. Logan, do you practice semen retention? Yeah, I've been celibate for quite some time. Done it many times. Practicing celibacy. You know, when you get older, things change, you know, your desires. I think that's, you know, we were talking about this during the Syncretism Society. I didn't get into this layer of conversation, but I guess it's appropriate now since you're asking. I think once you get older and your testosterone levels naturally drop off, not for everybody, but some guys, many guys after 40, the testosterone level, which is what's going to make you chase the women, it drops off. And then you're not interested in sex per se as much. You're more interested in the philosophical sides of life, the sciences, the occult, and you get gray, and all these things are showing your level of consciousness, so to speak. And, you know, then when you get less interested in certain things, you end up just like this retention thing. It just comes naturally. And then you kind of get the benefits of that if there is such a thing, which we talked about tonight with the chemistry and how the sublimation and all that kind of stuff. Wear dark sunglasses with small pinholes to see out. That's interesting, KB. Exercises the muscles. I can see how that would work because it makes you focus on that small light. Cheese is addictive. Well, anything can be addictive. I'm a huge Parmesan fan. I don't eat a lot of it because it for me and many other people. For me though, because this is me. Cheese causes a lot of mucus. If I have cheese like 3 days in a row, I wake up and my nose is clogged, and so it causes a lot of mucus. So I have it often, and if I have it, it's a little bit, but I love it. Joel Miguel, how to survive the reset? That's a broad stroke question, brother. I wouldn't even begin to know where to start with that. I think that, you know, I personally am, I believe we're in a script and we're in a predestined script, and you're living out your journey. And if it's your journey to make it through, you'll make it through. There's no special way to do it. If you feel like you want to watch survival videos and you resonate with that, maybe that's in your script to watch it so you can partake in those things so you can make it through. That's just kind of how I see it. For me, I used to be afraid of death growing up because I was raised in a really religious organization. But now I don't care. I mean, if I had a gun to my head, I'd probably be saying a different story, but I'm not in that situation. But I don't fear death anymore because I know death is just an exchange of energy. And there's something beyond that. And it's beautiful. Jerry Rowe, do you drink alcohol? Yeah, I'm having some tonight right here. This is a Mexican, like I don't know, it's totally acidic, but I do. I like tequila, I like beer, I like wine, but I don't have it all the time. You know, I have it sporadic. I go through my periods of having a little bit here and there, but these days my body just doesn't want anything. It just I eat to live. You don't like females. Of course I don't know. Sleeping Beauty 555. Of course I like females. I am completely in line with that. I'm heterosexual, straight up. I've been married 3 times, and I can be authentic with all of you and say that I have no shame in that. Don't care. Could care less what you think about that idea, and If you looked at my astrology charts and I could show you all the clues and my source code that played out, I could show you where all those fit into my charts. Don't care. I just think it's funny. So, yeah, I love the female, the feminine. Do I interpret people from their snake eyes? I mean, not snake eyes. Why did I say that? Do you interpret people from their eyes? Sometimes I look at people and what they're looking at and how they look and stuff like that. But no, most of the time I'm just very observant of people's reactions, behaviors, what they talk about. You can learn a lot from just go study somebody's social media page, what they're posting, what their playlist is like, what their movies and shows they watch. You can tell a lot about somebody just by those alone right there, which is why artificial intelligence is growing so strong, because it's using all these layers to figure out how to run mankind, so to speak. And that is through the influence of the social media platforms. What's my input on semen retention? Well, how do we get here? How do we get here? How do you make a human being? Not by retaining anything. You see, I believe this game needs players. Without us, there's no game. Without a human vessel, there cannot be an experience from the celestial. Like, if there really is the architect coming down here to play out its own game and incarnating into bodies, which I believe happens, that would not be able to happen unless you can unless you're procreating. I mean, in the theological texts, in the Bible anyway, it says, go out and, fill the earth, subdue it. That's one of the orders or suggestions, because the game needs players. So yeah, you have the retention aspect, and these, mind you, these are theoretical, but I'm not saying they're not true, because I was just talking about them with Chris Campbell and Santos and all that. What happens when you don't partake in, ejaculating? But how do we get here? And the animals, the countless animals that have sex with one another. I mean, it's just part of the process of this game of life. That's just the way it works. So, I mean, yes, I understand the benefits of the retention. But I also see where people would say, well, they want to partake in whatever. And then you have the tantra, and, these are all layers of the onion. Which layer do you want to partake in? Which game do you want to play? So there's just all layers of this, the whole onion, so to speak. So I think it's an interesting concept. I've done a lot of it. I've done a lot of stuff just to see what it's like. I think you need to experience it and see if it's for you, if you're considering it. Have I heard of Carrie Reams? The theory of ionization? I have not. Carrie Reams. Okay, maybe I'll check it out. I mean, if you just think about, if you really use logic and common sense with the whole semen thing, okay? It's not possible to hold back your semen as a male and it's going to somehow make its way up to the brain. It's not even possible, by the way, because it's stored in an area in the body that it's not connected to go up the spinal cord, and it's all transmutation. It's like gases, as we talked about. But you see, the semen has a job to do. What is its job? The job of the semen is to fertilize the egg. It doesn't have any other job other than to fertilize the egg. Not that I know of in science. Semen is designed, the sperm is designed to swim around and find the egg and fertilize it and make another human being. That's what the job is of it. So when you say, I'm not going to do that anymore, well, if everybody did that, then the game would cease to exist when everybody dies off, because then you have no more players. So when you just use critical thinking, like, I'm not opposed to these ideas. Like, Santos is a huge proponent of it. But it's like, if everybody did that, then the game wouldn't exist anymore, because everybody would just die off. Unless something changed on the world stage of the game. But the semen has a job. The testicles have a job. The ovaries have a job. Everything has a job to do. I mean, that's just basic stuff. Do you think our souls actually live in our dreams? You know, it's a really interesting question. I know people that lucid dream. I tried it many times. I've been unsuccessful. Lucid dreaming equals 42 in numerology, which is tied to crucifixion, reincarnation, wonderland. All these words equal 42, life, the universe, everything. Lucid dreaming. I think we're living, to be honest with you, I think we're living inside the dream of the cosmos. I think the cosmos is having a dream and we are its dream. Lucid dream. Lucifer, Lucy, the celestial that has a say in everything. But you have the dream state and the awake state. And then you have that word called daydreaming. Daydreaming. Let me just, now that you brought that question up, let me just slide over to the some of these decodes that I'm doing. Since we're talking about that, let's jump into some of this. Let's get into some decoding. So I made this one yesterday, and I thought this was really interesting. And again, you know, you guys know how I roll. I strictly strive to use Chaldean. I feel Chaldean is the closest source cipher you can get in numerology, because it's tied to the cards, it's tied to the tarot, it's tied to alchemy, pi, phi, all that. To me, it's directly tied to it. I feel like the other ciphers, you have to go a little bit deeper, more layers to get there. So I feel like, Chaldean is really all you need to discover the code, the source code, to tell you how this world operates. But you'll notice, like, the game of life right here at the top, the game of life is 59. And 59 is going to reduce down to the 14, which is going to be pi, 3.14, which is going to reduce down to the number 5. And 5 is man, the pentagram, right? So we know that's how accurate this is. But the 59 is tied to this right here, the 7 of Cups. And the 7 of Cups, this actually right here is the 43rd card in the deck. And 43 is the 14th prime number, and that's pi, 3.14. We live on pi, the perfect circle, Earth. We make it up through our emotions. But this 7 of Cups is 59, and the card that was created from this, or the origination of this card, was the 7 of Hearts. And look at what the numerology is of the 7 of Hearts, 59. They're both 59. This is a rarity when you take these two separate systems and just break these down with numerology. 59. And it's going to mean 5. And 5 is, in astrology, is the house of Leo the lion, and it's ruled by the sun. The sun that gives you life. Okay? And this card right here, this 7 of Cups, is tied to the words daydreaming. Dreaming during the day. How about that? Dreaming during the day. That's what daydreaming is. It's tied to the word illusions and multiple choices. Obviously, that's what all these cups are here. What's interesting is, just for fun stuff, Bill Gates and Anthony Fauci, both of them, different birthdays, but the same card, as this is their birth card. What do you think they're doing, folks? They're showing you illusions. It's all bullshit illusions to keep you distracted or to keep you under control. That's their job, though. That's their job. Are we dreaming during the day? That's the big question. are we dreaming during the day? That's what we're talking about, the game of life. Daydreaming. Dreaming during the day, the game of life. 7 of Cups, 7 of Hearts. And we're being controlled. I already know we're being controlled. This has a big say in it as well. It's the cross. Tied to the Christ. And when you place it over the zodiac wheel, you're going to get the cardinal signs. Because in the respected houses of astrology, when you look at it from the as above, this is the as above chart now, Aries is in the position of the 9 o'clock and it goes up. Taurus normally goes down in the charts that you look at with your birthday, but Taurus goes up in the as above and it goes Gemini 3 and Cancer number 4. So the moon's at the top and then Capricorn would be at the feet. And then you would have Libra in the position number 7 and the 3 o'clock position. And these are the 4 cardinal points. And this is the start of each season right here. You know, the start of each season, spring, summer, fall, and winter, the beginning of them. And it's just really fascinating. This wheel spins, but this is really important with this cross right here. Cross being 18, Jesus being 18, Christ being 18, and the moon card in the tarot being 18. Is Jesus just really the moon? We've been so indoctrinated with being told that the Christ is the sun. But is Jesus just the moon? And then let me get into this birthday. This one really was amazing. Little sneak peek on the birthday. I got this decode coming out. But it's the word birthday. All of us have these. Solar return, birthday. What's interesting is it's birthday. And we're born into Pi. And really what's fascinating is the city that has the 314 area code is St. Louis, Missouri, and the address of the bank that contains all the records is 411. It's really interesting. Anyway, this is for information too as well, but nonetheless, that's just kind of fun stuff. It's a 20, and the word duality equals 20. How about that? So when you're born into this world, you're born into the number 20, which is duality. The word Mason equals 20. The word free equals 20. The word Jesuit equals 20. All ruled over by duality. And then when you bring it into the string of pi, the 20 appears at the 53rd decimal digit, 53 and 54. 53 is the 16th prime number, and that tells us exactly where we go when we're born into this world. The word hell is 16. And, you know, we're made up of Adam. This is where Adam and Eve come in, folks. The atom is light. Light is made up of atoms, and light gets slowed down into physical matter, and we are born into this world. We're born into hell. And this is iodine, the I am. We're being used by the I. And going further, we can see what element is the 20th element. It's calcium. Calcium is what makes up our bones. As a matter of fact, 99% of the body's calcium is contained in the bones and teeth. Duality. And calcium, its most abundant weight is 39.963. And there's the giveaway, the big clue, because the original spelling of the devil, Lucifer, is 39. So when you have a birthday, you become the devil down here in duality. And you end up having a skeleton, which is going to carry your avatar and your spirit around until you leave this place. And then who the hell knows what happens after that. So there's that one. And this one was another, I thought was a gem, was the statement, food for thought. And what's the food for our thinking? It's information, but it goes through the I. This essentially captures the information that comes into our reality through the eye, the iris, and it's the element iridium. Look at what I'm showing you here. Food for thought. We think through perception, and a lot of that is through the 5 senses. One of those senses is the sight, the sense of seeing and sight, and that's the iris. And iris is iridium, and look at what the total is, 77, which is this element right here. I mean, this is how powerful Chaldean and alchemy are when they combine and team up together. This is undeniable right here. Showing you the source code. It's pretty amazing. And then last but not least, let me just give you 3 slides and I'm going to come back on and go back to your questions. So I decided to, I don't know why I didn't do this a long time ago, but a lot of times I was spelling words out with the periodic table. And you can't do this with a lot. You can do this with a lot of things, like you can spell out Lucifer, you can spell out Jesus. There are many words you cannot spell out that are important, but one of them is one of the celestial bodies called Kronos, otherwise known as Saturn. And you can spell it out. And what's really fascinating about Kronos is, you see, the air that we breathe is made up of primarily these 2 elements right here, oxygen and nitrogen. 79% nitrogen, 21% oxygen. And this Kronos has it right here in its spelling of its name, the title that it goes by. And then one of the 6 essential elements that make up our reality is sulfur. And there it is. It's one of the 6. And it's tied to hell. Remember, 16, sulfur, it's right here. Going back to this one right here. And there it is. Hell is 16. And that's sulfur. Sulfur is all about fire. And it's the atom. And it's the 53 tied to our birthdays. But there it is. Who runs that, right? Well, Saturn has a big say in this. And it's tied to the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio. And, when you take all these elements and you do the alchemy of them and you add up their atomic weights or masses using the trusty calculator, and I'm using the most abundant because sulfur has an average of 32.06, but this is the most abundant. Look at what you get right here. You get the golden ratio right there in our face, telling us loud and clear that the golden ratio has so much to say about this reality. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous how much say this has. And when you take 161 and you add it to 876, go ahead and get out your calculators. It's going to give you a total of 1,037, and 137 is the 33rd prime number, folks. This is the source code right here. Okay, this is the source code talking to all of us. And this right here, 36, is tied to the word operating, as an operating system. Krypton, which is where Superman was from. It's tied to the sun. It's tied to the sun. And 83 is a big deal number tied to bismuth. But it keeps going. You see, when you actually take the 161 and you bring it into the string of the golden ratio, besides it being at the very beginning of the golden ratio, because it is 1.61, it occupies these 3 digits right here, the 1933, 1934, and 1935. There it is, found in the string of the golden ratio. And when you add all of them up, it's going to give you 5,802, and it's going to lead you to Saturn's magic square, Kronos' magic square. The reason why I'm showing this is because these numbers, the 2, the 8, and the 5, are inside this diamond right here, and there it is right there. You can't miss this stuff once you see it. You can see the relevance of Kronos and being Father Time ruling over the box, and this is Pandora's box, by the way. Pandora's box is 45. When you add up 1 through 9, all these numbers, it's going to give you the number 45. So it's telling you that the Kronos, the Titan, is ruling over time, which is ruling over the golden ratio, which has its say in nature as well. And then the last slide I will show all of you before I come on is when you actually do the addition of the protons of these elements right here. And, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 5, and it's tied to Leo, the lion, and, it's tied to Saturn and Kronos, and the 5 is man. But it's right here, folks, it's 75. 75, when you add up all the protons. So we take that and bring it into the string of the golden ratio. And here's the big truth bomb. 75 occupies 2 digits, 103 and 104. And when you take 103 and 104 and you add them up, you're going to get 207, and this is the element for Saturn. It's called lead, turning lead to gold, which is what radium decays down into. And radon, the sun, what it decays down into, lead, 82, which is going to be linked to prison planet. And just remember that the 103 is a big deal, because if you take all the letters of the alphabet, A through Z, and you put them into the Chaldean cipher, it's going to give you 103. Not the English, not the septenary, not the reverses, not the fib, not any other cipher. Cal-frickin-Dean. It's going to give you 103. And 103 is the 27th prime number, by the way, which is linked to the word currency. Okay? Chaldean is the top dog cipher to get the truth, and then you can expand beyond that. But those are some of the truth bombs I wanted to share with all of you, some of the sneak peeks, some of the decoding pieces that I haven't really shared with the world. I have put them in my Telegram group, but there it is. And, you know, these to me are what delivers to me the truth that I need to see of how this reality works inside this matrix, the mother, playing tricks on you, the illusion. Jerry, have I ever done cannabis? No, I wish I had done cannabis in a sensory deprivation tank. That must be sick. I would love to do that. Mercury is 23. The word Mercury is 23, tied to the word pineal, tied to the word blood, tied to the word crown, tied to the word history. Mercury is the messenger of the sun. So it has a lot of say in all that kind of stuff. Elon Musk. I have a decode coming out on Elon Musk. You know, I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I've gone through his YouTube videos. I was watching one of his. Well, I missed the live, but I was watching one of his collaborations with a few other people. It just doesn't seem like it's Elon anymore. He doesn't speak fluently. He's all over the place. Something's just off. Something's not right to me. I don't get. Some people say, "Oh, it's just somebody so intelligent," and I get that, but man, this guy is just not behaving like a human being. I don't think, anyway. But that's my take on. That's just my opinion. That's all it is just my opinion. But I have a decode coming out showing you about him and his birthday being tied to the devil card and all that stuff. It's just, you gotta have fun with this stuff. Yeah, I'm not really big into predictions, because when they don't happen, you get crucified for them. And, you know, I think if something really big's going to happen, it's going to happen when you least expect it. Brock McDonald, man, you're really having fun with your code, man. I would really encourage you. I see you're decoding yourself, and you know, like, you can remember that you can put in any layer of words together with your name, and you're going to have an outcome, and you may find some profound things. And I know you found a lot of great things, but what are you going to do with it? You know, like, okay, are you saying you're a prophet? Are you saying you're a chosen one? Well, okay, that's nice to believe that, but what are you going to do with that information? Right? It doesn't single you out. I mean, I have a lot of people that come to me, oh, I have all these numbers attached to my name, and I'm this and I'm that, and they get this messiah complex, and I'm just like, okay. Oh, all right, well, what are you going to do about it? Go help the world. You know, I mean, it's great to connect numbers. I think it's awesome to be connected to these numbers, and we can play around with these words, like, what's Chronos? You could also take what's Chronos' purposes. It would change the outcome of the 161. It would eliminate that. If you abbreviated that, you could abbreviate it. So I'm not a really huge fan, although I do use it. I'm not a huge fan of typing in these things and putting my name attached to it and figuring out, like, you know, and then, you know, it's like, I get people get excited, like, oh, they want to know their code. Go study your astrology and your charts and your birth charts and your Vedic and your Western, and figure out what your code is. And just remember that you have a job and responsibility to do. And it's not to tell the world that you're attached to these numbers. That's not your job. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even be telling somebody what those things were. I would be keeping these things a secret. I mean, if you're really happy about your outcomes. I wouldn't be telling other people about it. I would be keeping it a secret. If you feel like you're a Messiah or a prophet or something like that, which maybe you are. There are people out there that believe they are. And again, that's not poo-pooing on anybody or Brock or anything. I'm just saying I'm not a fan of I have this day and I'm on this element, and I can show you all my stuff too. Don't care. I kind of past that point. Really, this life that you're living, it's not about you. It's not about me. I think the movie Doctor Strange did a freaking phenomenal job saying that. If you've seen that movie, and it was it's not about you, because it's not. It's not about us. We're just a little cog in the wheel. Even if there are people that are chosen ones, even if that's the case, and I say if, there's no way to prove it just by putting a string of words together and connecting elements, and they're fun to do, right? But really, you got to put things into action. I'm living it. I'm doing this work. I do it because I love doing it, but I help people. That's really where it's at. It's not like, hey, look at me, my numbers are this and that. I really want to help the world. That's just how I roll with this kind of stuff. Because I get a lot of people, I get emails, people, comments with these Messiah complexes. And I'm not saying that you're doing that, Brock. But I'm saying we're on this topic, I get a lot of people. I get emails from people, I have the truth. And I'm like, how many people tell me that? And I say, well, you're all right. Just go do you. Right? But when you always are posting things about you and the connections you have, it's great. But then it's okay, well, what are you going to do with it? Let's see what you're going to do with that stuff. That's what I feel is the most important thing to do. Take what you feel you are utilized with and go do something about it. Go help the world. Right? Because I think people aren't interested in our code. If I were to sit there and just show all of you all my connections, I've shown some stuff here and there, but if I just were to come on every week and say, yeah, look at this, and I'm connected to that week after week, it'd just be okay, dude, well, it's not about you, And so I'm at that conscious level where yeah, I already know that it's not about me. Don't care. I just want to help people. I want to help the world. That's my MO. Deep down inside my authentic self, I can tell you authentically, I'm here to help the world. By showing you what I found. I'm not going to force it on you, but I'm going to show you what I found. I'm not better than anybody else. Don't care to be better than anybody else. I don't feel like I'm above anybody else. I feel like we're all in this together. And if you're here right now sharing this space, you're supposed to be here. But when you find your information by decoding yourself, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do with it? I'm doing something about it. I'm creating videos. I'm decoding. I'm a researcher. I share my videos with everybody else. What do you do? If you feel like you're a prophet, then go do something with it. Don't just tell people you're a prophet. Anybody can do that. I have a lot of people that come to me and tell me that stuff. I'm like, what are you doing about it? I love people that are going out and creating things with the information, saying that I'm this and I'm that. And okay, great. Go do something with it. That will impress me. And I feel like that's our obligation anyway. Jerry, life's purpose is to serve. Yeah, you're part of the battery. This right here is a battery. It's a battery. Let me just show you the connection, just to show you how powerful what I'm telling you is. So the 19th card in the tarot is the sun, as you know. And the word battery in numerology equals 19. Okay, so the sun's a battery. Well, we are miniature versions of the sun. And I know that because in astrology, the fifth house of astrology, all of you Leos out there, the ruler of the fifth house is the sun. And the fifth house is man. It's us. It's the pentagram. It's the pentagram. The 5-pointed star. That's the experience of life. So you serve the celestial. It doesn't serve you. I mean, it does give you life. But essentially, you're the entertainment of the celestial bodies. We're in a theater. We're in a movie, a soap opera. And I feel like however this works, they come down and become man. Like, oh, you know what? I feel like I'm going to go be Tom Brady and I'm going to get 7 Super Bowl rings. That'd be kind of cool to live that life. Why is it so far-fetched to believe? I think it's totally relevant. What advice would I give to targeted individuals? I don't have any advice to give you. I shouldn't take that back. What advice do I have? I'll give you some suggestions, because I know there's the gang stalking, and I know it exists because plenty of people can come and say, "Hey, I'm being stalked," right? And I think we all have a code we're playing out. And unfortunately, and I use that adjective because that's the only way I can describe this reality, there are people that are living out codes that are very, very of demise. The demise, like I wouldn't want that code. Why did they get it though? See, I just focus on, like, if you're here right now and you're a decoder and you're looking at yourself and you're decoding yourself, and like, what are you here for? Why are you here? What is your purpose? It's not to eat food and take poops. What's your purpose? All of you here, all you great decoders and great people, you're here because you have something to share with the world. You got to find that out. You got to find the sweet spot. So, like, yeah, I have compassion for those that are getting stalked and people that are like all the nasty stuff on the world stage. I don't actually have to live that. I didn't get that code. That wasn't part of my script. Yes, I recognize it. Yes, I'm an activist when it comes to cruelty and all that. I'm totally all for that. But that's not my code. What am I supposed to do? Just like lower myself down to that code, right? No, you raise your code. You raise yourself up based upon your code as high as you can go. That's going to make the world a better place. If you accelerate your code and you level up. If you constantly are looking at how sad and poor and depressed the world is, it can literally be an energy vampire and suck the life out of you. So you'd be better served to help humanity by not looking at that stuff as much. It's not like you're turning a blind eye, because remember, you're living inside of a script that was already written. So you'd be better off actually focusing on being a creator and creating something out of your life that's going to help humanity. That's going to make a ripple effect. But anybody the suggested models, like anybody that's being targeted, well, you got to focus on your code and like perhaps like what happened to you at your past. Look at your astrology chart, both Western and Vedic. Look at decode the shit out of your life. Figure out what the hell you're doing here. Why are you here? You may find some hidden gems in your code. And you may find the answers of why you were given this code of being targeted. But that's where I would start with. Just like somebody would say, how do I get healthy? Go start writing down all your food. Start going to the gym, starting to work out, start drinking 3 liters of water a day. Start taking your supplements if you can. Then after 3 or 4 weeks, then come see me and we'll have a chat. But until you check off all those things off the list to become healthy, I can't give you a proper diagnosis. So the same thing with a targeted individual. Unless you're willing to decode yourself and look at yourself under a microscope, you can't properly diagnose why you're being targeted. It's not possible. I don't think so. So that would be my suggestion. Decode yourself. And I know it's easy for me to say that because I'm in my environment right now and people say, oh, you're in the comfort of your home. But this is my code though. This is what I was given as my code. I shouldn't have to feel guilty because this is my code. And you shouldn't have to feel guilty if you have a nice life. You should be reveling in that nice life. You should be grateful for the life you have rather than feel the guilt from other people that weren't given that same code. Maybe they were a really bad person in their previous life and they abused their power, and their punishment, their code maybe was to have this shitty life and they got to pay for it. Maybe, just maybe that's the way it works. Maybe when you level up, you get a reward. And the next life you have, if you check off all the things off the box, this one, maybe the next time you come and incarnate, you get a better life. You get a better code, a better card. I don't know. I'm purely just giving you some theoretical things to think about. But what if that's true? I think it's worth checking all the things off the box of leveling up in this reality. At least do yourself that favor. Don't be an asshole to people. Be nice, be courteous, be helpful, be service to humanity. Be a great giver. Be loving and compassionate and warm and understanding or understanding and tolerable. And if you can't handle certain situations where you fail in those areas, don't put yourself in those situations until you can level up and raise your frequency. And then maybe subject yourself to those areas. Like I said, if you can't watch the presidential debate without getting emotionally involved, you shouldn't be watching the presidential debate because it's sucking the life out of you. It's sucking the life out of you. So the same thing with the environments that we surround ourselves with. If you can't be in an environment that's really depressing and be there and not be depressed, you may not want to go to a depressing area. It's kind of common sense. But just remember, man, your code was given to you. Don't waste it. Don't let somebody rob you of your code. Thoughts on the Draconian chart? I haven't really looked at the astrology Draconian chart too much. I mean, there's so many different charts. The default is the Placidus, right? But there are so many astrology charts to look at. I like to keep things simple. I'm a simple guy. I look at the Placidus chart and then I go to the sidereal, the Vedic, and I look at the Nakshakras and the Navamsha D9 for relationships. And that's about as complex as I get. I don't get into the sextiles and this and that. Yeah, you can get into the squaring. But look, these celestials have been around a really, really long time. You would think that over these however long time periods they've been here, they would be able to figure out how to get along, to make things at least work from a neutrality standpoint. So I'm not really into like this is opposition, and I understand the push-pull, the yes and no, the contraction expansion, but I still feel these celestials have been around long enough to figure it out and to get along to where at least it's neutral. So I'm all about neutrality. I'm not about malefic and being beneficial. How about just neutral? And that gives you at least the chance to make it the way you want it to be. I know I'm being targeted. I'm a Knights Templar. Well, there you go. There's your answer. You got a big target on your back. If that's what you feel. Jerry's asking, is it possible to escape or transcend our code? Well, I came out with my Prison Planet Part 2, and I showed all of you how I feel like we can maybe get out of here. And I said that I feel the thing you need to check off the box is to be neutral. And it's obviously a very, very complicated situation, because being neutral to the game is really not playing it. But I'm saying is that if you play your game and not their game, I feel like you can transcend or level up. Personally, right now, and this is just my current level of understanding, I don't feel that we ever get out. I feel like it's just a loop. Now, I know a lot of you would just completely not tolerate that. I know a lot of you will be like, oh my God, but listen, folks, it's not a matter of getting irritated. I feel like if that's the situation, then the best thing you can do is level up. A lot of you have a lot of work to do on yourselves, and you don't do it. You just forego these things. And the easiest way to actually level up is start living a life of gratitude. Being in the conscious now moment of gratitude. Being grateful for everything in your life, because everything in this reality wants one thing and one thing only, and that's called acknowledgement. It wants to be acknowledged. If you put a dog into a room and shut the door and only open it to put food and water in there and leave it in there for years, it will feel like it's abandoned. It doesn't get any acknowledgement. It'll literally wither and die. So everything in this reality needs acknowledgement. That's why, like the car you drive, it drives. Why does it drive better when you clean it? Pride of ownership. Your frequency changes it. Those are just kind of a small basic example of things. But if you want to change your reality, you got to be in a high state of gratitude. Gratitude junkie is where it's at, I feel. And it's the best way to live. I think it's not blaming other people for your experiences, taking the responsibility upon your own shoulders, carrying your own cross, as they say. Not blaming the external world, not blaming these organizations. Because you see, everybody that's blaming, doing the blame, everybody that's pointing the finger, I understand. Some people have the job, that's their job, and they're going to, but I'm saying is that if you join in on that crowd of pointing, yeah, it's their fault. They're the ones to blame. It's them that's doing it. Well, guess what? They're just doing their job. And if you just stop pointing the finger at these organizations and you take that energy back, like the hour you spend a day talking about, they're screwing everything up and they're doing this and they're, oh my God, I can't wait for them to, a lot of you can't wait for them to burn. A lot of you are like, have your freaking pom-poms out ready to cheer when that empire falls. Is that the right way to be? Is that the right way to be? To actually can't wait for the empire to fall. I can't wait till they burn. Is that the right kind of energy to have? Is it the right kind of attitude to have in this reality? See, I don't think so. See, if you take that energy back of what you're giving out to these organizations, because they'll gladly take your energy. And I've said this over and over. Jordan has said it. You just take it back and the time you spend on you giving it to these organizations, and then you put it into something constructive that's going to make the world a better place. If everybody did that, these organizations, these predators, the apex predators, they would just dissolve. Yeah, they would still get people, but their power would not be as significant because their power is kept going by people's energy. If people stop paying attention to the ideas and what they're doing and just turned it onto something constructive, then they would just slowly start to diminish and they would get pushed out. They would just get smushed out because then you'd build a nucleus and it would just build and build and build and build and they would just get pushed out because there's no room, because the nucleus that we're building that's constructive towards this world would just continually grow and grow, and it would get so big it would push out them and they wouldn't be able to come in. But that's not the way the world works. The world is based on fear. People are afraid. People are attracted to fear, and they want to just push and resist against these apex predators. And I get it. It's part of this reality. I get that. So it's a slippery slope, and it's a lot more complicated than what I'm saying. But I'm just saying it starts with you, ladies and gentlemen, on an individual basis. It starts with you, stop pointing the finger. It starts with you, stop talking about it. Because every time you talk about these ideas, you give them energy. Just a simple little talking to your neighbor about some organization you don't like actually feeds that organization. That's straight magic 101. You already know, folks. Folks, you don't need to watch any more videos or conspiracy theories. You don't need to watch anything else anymore. You don't need to sit there and read any more books on the topic of what's running this, what's ruling that. You don't need to read any more books on the devil. And you already know what you got to do. But no, you know what people will do? They don't. It's not enough. It's an addiction. They're addicted to figuring out more and more of what they automatically know. And they're really good at pointing the finger because they have a lot of practice at it. If you just take all that energy back, like enough, you know that about that. You know the sharks in the water. You know it. And if you just take that power back and you bring it into your reality and say, okay, today I'm going to wake up and it's a white piece of paper and I can write on it whatever I want. What am I writing on it? If everybody did that already knows the roles of everybody, they would take all that energy back into the nucleus and we'd build something that would be beneficial for the planet. But you know what? That's not what people are interested in. People are interested in the dirty laundry. That's what they're interested in. They want more of the dirty laundry. They're in the habit of getting their dirty laundry and feeding the dirty laundry and making it even dirtier. That's what they're in the habit of doing. We automatically know who the apex predators are. We know what their job is. But that's not good enough. People are just in the habit of going after it and going after it and going after it and just keep talking about it and just beating a dead horse like I'm doing right now. It's interesting. Really, really interesting. All right. Well, that was a big tangent of mine. I am tied to some supercomputer and they keep showing me. Oh, who's they? See, I know a lot of people, a lot of decoders. I shouldn't say a lot. Let me take that back. Let me retract that statement. Some decoders, some people believe that this reality is run by a supercomputer, that man's pulling the levers. And, you know, I have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that my life is scripted and it's being utilized by something outside this reality. And I ain't hooked up to any organization. I don't belong to any organization. I don't belong to any groups or churches or any of that stuff. It's just me. And I'm just me. I ain't any better than anybody. It's just me. There's no supercomputer here. But that doesn't mean that there's a computer running this reality. But man ain't running it, I can tell you that. Yeah, we live in a computer. It's called a simulation. And it's not run by man, folks. And if man's running anything, it's just a fractal down. It's a big Ponzi scheme that we live in. It's a big Ponzi scheme. Jerry says, I, like you, was raised in a religious family. I know what you say is truth, but at the same time, I have a hard time accepting. Well, I mean, yeah, if you have a hard time at least looking at the concepts that I'm talking about, that Santos talks about, that Chris Campbell talks about, that Nick and Crystal over to Syncretism, that Jordan talks about, that Nigel and Harry talk about. If it irritates you, like, oh, those guys are full of shit. Like that may be your trigger point, that may be the area you want to look at. Because you see, you are the I, and the I is the it. The IT. The it. It runs you. The voice in your head, that's it. And anything outside of it, your identity, is going to refute. Because the human being experience is all about trying to be right. The whole human being experience, and I learned this from Landmark. I've been there many, many times. A huge fan of Werner Erhard. The whole human being experience is about looking good and trying to be right. And Werner Erhard was a pioneer in this field. And he says that I will bet that anytime you're sacrificing love, you're trying to be right. Think about what I just said. You will sacrifice love so you can be right. Because you'll cause arguments. No, that's not right. I'm right. And and that's just the it controlling you. That's your identity. And anything outside your identity, you're not going to have it. And life is all about the identity, you. It's your name. It's your whole persona. It's your blueprint. And your persona, your identity has components to it, mainly the primal, the ego, which is the dragon, the lower chakras, and then your spirit up here. And then you got the heart in the middle. And the majority of people in this world, they don't live up here. They don't even live from the heart. They live below in the primal sectors. And a good movie in Marvel was Venom. That's the primal. When your stomach knocks at your door, feed me, that's not your spirit. That's your primal. When you want to have sex, that's your primal. When you need to be satiated, that's your primal. That's not your spirit. That's your lower chakras that want. Feed me, give me sex, give me satiation, make me feel good. Tell me I'm amazing. Make me all feel, make me feel warm and fuzzy inside. See, folks, you get into a relationship, you don't need someone to tell you that you're beautiful or handsome that's your ego wanting that. That's your primal, your dragon down below in the depths of the fire. That needs to be reassured that it's beautiful, handsome, sexy. It needs to get fed. That dragon wants to get fed. And when you start to make the transition of moving into the more of the balanced, higher states, that primal dragon will fight you. It will fight you to the death. Because essentially what you're doing is you're killing something inside of you. The dragon inside of you, the primal, your ego, that's what the Christ talked about in the text. What does it say? The competition for Jesus was the ego. The ego is the primal. That's why he fasted he starved the dragon 40 days and 40 nights, no food. That's starving the dragon. And when you starve the dragon realizes it's going to die, or at least be put on chains and suppressed and kept on a short leash. And what's going to happen is you go on fasts, the stomach starts to, that's your dragon. Your stomach is your dragon. And it's like, feed me. It's been day 2, man. You haven't fed me. What's going on here, man? You're breaking me out of this normal routine. And the dragon wants to get fed. And you may cave in after day 2. You're supposed to do day 7, 7 days, but you cave in on day 2. Because your dragon, your stomach, it wins the battle. And you can't overcome the dragon. And many of you have these situations happen, and we all do, right? I'm not escaping this, so I'm talking to myself. I'm looking at a mirror when I say this to you. I'm talking to myself. The dragon is not going to want to die. You're primal. The kundalini that rises, it starts at the bottom, the root, your foundation. And then when you finally start to realize that the lower hellish regions are not where it's at, and you realize, hey, I got to get here or above, it takes a lot of perseverance. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of saying no. Many of you are big yes people. And you just feed it. You feed the dragon and you keep it, and then you feed it and it's like, oh, thank you. And then it stays quiet for a little bit. It's funny, right? If you can look at it, you got a dragon inside of you and it's down below your heart chakra. And it's going to come a knocking. And it's through our habits. Studied habits a lot. Habits. And your habits can be a prison. Bob Proctor did a whole sector on this through Jay Dishman and the Born Rich series about Alcatraz and it being a prison, and the prison really is your mind. And the mind controls the lower chakras because this is the pathway. But the thing is, you got to control the primal. And that dragon, man, it doesn't want to die. It doesn't want to be put on chains. It wants free range. And when you start to tell it nope, when you start to fast for a couple days and you say no, you think it's just going to say, okay, no problem. No, it's not. It's going to fight you. And then you may have some character come into your existence that's going to offer you, sex. And that person coming in may end up putting you into a spiral. And you start feeding the primal again. And then you start playing in the lower regions. And, you know, the lower regions of the chakras is that, you see, this is where the devil comes in. Because, you see, in astrology, the first 3 houses are below the heart. And that is Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. Okay? The first 3 houses are. And the second house, primarily, is Taurus, the bull. And Taurus, the bull, has the 2 horns, the devil horns. It's pretty obvious. And the Taurus energy is where you get the Bible from. The 2 horns of the Old Testament and New Testament. And you can't win there because they're 2 sides of the same coin. So if you choose the hero in the New Testament, well, you just chose the same coin. But if you chose the Old Testament and the Judaism and the fear-based, well, it's the same coin. But you see, Taurus is ruled by Venus. And Venus, the female reproductive system of Venus, looks just like the Taurus bullhead. And that's where sex is. And procreation. What it tells you in the ancient texts, in the Holy Bible. Those of you that were raised in a religious family, it says right in Genesis, you were programmed with it. Go subdue the earth, fill it, procreate, go hump, go make babies. Because I need them. I need these people to make energy for this game. It's really simple once you can see it. And the Taurus and the Venus energy, they run the lower chakras where you have sex. Okay? So when you stop having sex and you become celibate, it can be really challenging. Retention, semen retention. That's all killing and slaying the dragon. And there's a reward if you do that, obviously. And then when you finally get up to the balancing point, you can look on both sides. You can look down in hell again, and you can look up at heaven, which is up here, and you can sit in the middle. And you can finally say that you're in a layer of neutrality. You're like, I made it. I made it here. I'm here. I've controlled the dragon down there, and I can see what's up ahead over here. And I want to just be slightly alkaline, slightly love, slightly up here, right? You want to be slightly there when it comes to balancing the whole chakra system. But these are concepts, again, these are just theoretical concepts I'm proposing to all of you, but kind of makes sense though, right? But I know the dragon exists inside of us. And the game needs players. That's a no-brainer. And the ancient text talks about that. And the most popular book on the world stage, there's a reason. If you ever thought about, like, why is it the most popular? And then people will say, well, it's supposed to be the most popular because you're supposed to have the faith in that and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's great words in there, but why is it the most popular? Why wouldn't it be something that would be a minority? You would think it'd be something that'd be a minority. Not many people would find it. I mean, in the Holy Bible, it says, broad and spacious is the road leading off into destruction. And many are finding it. But cramped and narrow is the road leading off into everlasting life. Cramped and narrow. So if you take the same concept and you put it into religion, what's the most dominant religion on the world stage? What's the most broad and spacious religion out there? Catholicism, Christianity. That's the broad and spacious religion. It's just really easy to see. And then you tie it into the game of life and you know the game needs players. It's just really easy to see. And then, there is, in my Prison Planet Part 3, I showed all souls are mine. And that whole concept. And perhaps getting out of this game is the scripture that has been interpreted as, being hot or cold. And if you're lukewarm, the pastor's going to tell you, if you're lukewarm, you're going to get spit out of the mouth. It means you're going to die. I feel the interpretation is, if you choose hot or cold, if you choose God or the devil, you're going to get stuck in the game. You're going to get right back into the game again. But if you get neutral, lukewarm, you're going to get spit out of the game and perhaps win the game. Maybe. But again, I'm just purely speculating on this. This is just a theory of mine. You have to make the truth your own. Is suicide okay? No. I do not believe that is the way to win. Nope. But the dragon is really important in our history because in astrology, it's tied to the 5th house, which is Leo the lion, ruled by the sun. The sun is the dragon, folks. See, it always goes back to the sun. And we are children of the sun, tied to the moon, and that incarnation-reincarnation process. And the sun is the dragon wave, the sine wave, the S. It makes the pendulum goes back and forth. That's what the sun does. It makes the S wave, which is the dragon wave. And in Chinese, the dead giveaway is that in the 5th house of Chinese astrology, house number 5, it's ruled by the dragon. In astrology, in Western, ruled by the sun, Leo. So Leo, the lion, is the dragon. And in theology, if you go to 1 Peter 5 verses 8, it says right in that scripture that your adversary walks about like a roaring what? A roaring lion. The only lion in astrology is Leo. 5, sun. Okay? It's really, you can't screw this up. It's really easy to see it. It's really easy to see it. I know I'm going to be talking about this with Jason Brashears from Archaics, because he has said that all the people that have died they're stuck inside this under the firmament, the simulacrum, as he said, the simulacrum is a simulation, but they're stuck inside this self-contained. We live in a self-contained system. I believe so. And until the game gets reset, everything stays inside here. And we're going to talk about this on Thursday, May 12th, 7:30 p.m. on right here. You should tune in. I hope we get a lot of big turnout. Not because I'm trying to get the reviews or the likes or the subscribe. I don't care about that. Just because this guy brings a lot of knowledge to the table. And not saying he is the authority on everything, but he's got a lot of interesting information to share with you. And I'm the lucky one to, and I say that because there's no such thing as luck. I'm just saying that, but I'm the fortunate one to be able to share some space with him. So. I mean, I really hope that I can get this live with, with at least 1,000, 1,500 people live on Thursday, May 12th, 7:30 Central Standard Time. I really hope we can get maybe over 1,000 people watching this. This information I really feel is going to be profound for so many people to help them out. And I really have a lot of high hopes, I should say, not expectations, of people showing up for this upcoming discussion on the simulation theory. And I think it's going to set a lot of people free. Because once you realize we're in a script, a predestined script, you can surrender and let go. And then, as I have been showing in many other decoders, the best thing you can do is discover your code. Then the people are like, wait a minute, I'm in a script, who cares? Yeah, no, but you have this owner's manual. Do you want to read the owner's manual, or just you want to know you have an owner's manual? See, we know we have a script. Do you want to read about your script, or you just want to just know you have one? Well, obviously, many of you want to know what your script is. And that's what the generous portions of astrology and numerology and all these other mystical art platforms can tell you. Enneagram, human design, gene keys, personality types, psychology, the cards of illumination, tarot. These are all part of your blueprint. And even if even if you don't believe in predestination or the script, why would you not want to know about yourself? I think everybody here wants to know what the hell they're doing here. Okay? Medical astrology is pretty amazing. Actually, Nick is the guy from Syncretism Society. Nick is the guy that is really the authority on that. He's got much more than I do, but I think it's not just a matter of knowing, like, I'm an Aquarius, and Aquarius medically is ruled by is ruling over the knees. But, is there other things that are involved with just being, because we're all 12. The astrology is your eyeball, by the way. I think all of you know that now. But astrology is your eye, the iris. And inside this right here, you can do iridology. It can tell you all about your body right there from your eye. And this right here is the map. And the map is all 12 signs, including Ophiuchus, and you are all 12 of them. So you can't just say, well, I'm an Aquarius sun and moon, but no, you're all 12. So you gotta look at your chart as a total and figure out, and even if you don't have planets in certain houses, you still have a zodiac sign that's operating through that house. And it's going to tell you a lot about who you are and why you're here. Penguin, am I part of the question, am I part of the Syncretism Society? Yes, I am an instructor over there, although I've been really quiet. I haven't really put out any videos. I'm going to probably go back to reading tarot cards for people at the Syncretism Society. So that's my part right now. Sometimes you get tired of battling and you want to check out early. Yeah, I get that. I think we all go through that. But again, if you are feeling that statement that I just read, that Venmo says, sometimes you get tired of battling and want to check out early. Well, then you would probably want to look at your life and say, what are you battling? What are you battling on a day-to-day basis? And I get, I'm not the clean bill of health that I once was 20 years ago. I have my aches and pains and working out all these years. I've been working out over 30 years. I put my tendons and ligaments. I got injuries and, this and that. I mean, I'm feeling it. But that's one thing. But then if you're like battling your health, well then, like I said earlier, are you taking all the supplements? Are you eating the right kinds of foods to check off the list to make sure you're giving your body the fair chance it deserves to regenerate? Because that's what it does, it regenerates. Or are the battles with maybe your family? And then how would you get out of that? Well, is anybody forcing a gun to your head? Can you just walk away from some of these battles? Some of these battles that you, ladies and gentlemen, are going through right now are because you just continue to stay on the battle. Like you have, and I know there's exceptions, so I'm just speculating here. I don't know any of the personal things you're going through, but like if someone's giving you persecution, cut them off. For me, I have no problem blocking people and deleting people, no problem. I don't even know you. I could care less. But if I had somebody in my life that was a cancer, I would cut them out of my life. See you later. It's not worth it for me. Because you're not in my life. You're not in my shoes. You're not in my journey. You're just trying to suck the life out of me. It's not worth it, this battle of mine. So I just look at my life and it's like, okay, if you just take your life and you look at your life and you line it all up and you say, where are my cancers in my life? Who's causing me? And I'm just using that as an analogy. Where are my negativity? Where's my energy vampires in my life? And just look at your life. I mean, if I were to give you a complete makeover, if I came to your house right now and I said, okay, let's completely analyze your life. Let's give you a makeover. Do you like the way you look in the mirror? Get undressed. I don't have to be there, but do you like the way you look in the mirror? And if you say no, okay, Well, at least you have a starting point because you got to feel good about yourself. So if you don't like the way you look naked, then it's time to go do something about that. Fix it. Okay? If you can, obviously. You got to do the best you can. Then you'd look at your eating habits, and then you look at your drinking water habits, and then you'd say, okay, who are the people I spend the most time with? Are they actually building me up? Am I part of organizations that build me up? Am I hanging around with people that build me up, that raise my frequency? The music I listen to, does it raise my frequency? Do the things I watch on the internet or the television, does it raise my frequency? See, if you can't check off all these things off the list, then you're literally making yourself decay a lot faster. So you'd have to start there, ladies and gentlemen. And I think a lot of you could look at your life and be like, I know for a fact, all of you could look at your life and say, yeah, I can make some improvements in my life. Okay, well, if you can say that, then what the hell are you waiting for? Why are you just sitting there not doing anything about it and complaining about it instead of doing something about it? Go do something. Maybe you need to excommunicado a friend that is just sucking the life out of you. And because you don't want to feel bad. I don't want to hurt their feelings. Really? You don't want to hurt their feelings? You don't want to look bad? Because remember, again, the identity, your identity, the voice in your head, your identity, your ego, your dragon I talked about for a long time tonight, it doesn't want to look bad. Life's about looking good. And you will do a hell of a lot about looking good and probably sacrificing love so you can look good as much as you possibly can. And that even means people that are sucking the life out of you. You will not cut those people off because you may look bad and they may go talk about you to their neighbor. Oh, you wouldn't believe they cut me off. They changed their phone number. You won't cut those people off because you're afraid they're going to go tell somebody and that person's going to look at you like, what the hell's your problem? And you're afraid you're going to look bad in front of those people. A lot of you are like that. Why do you care? These people are sucking the hell out of you. And yet you sit there and let them do it because your identity, your dragon doesn't want to look bad. It doesn't want to look bad, folks. So you got to analyze your life and be like, today's the day, man. It's time to cut. It's time to cut. Go clean your life up. And then when you finally can look at your life on a board and be like, all the people I hang out with, man, they lift me up. The things I watch and listen, they lift me up. If you can get to this place and create your heaven, then you come back and say, okay, what are my challenges? And I know I'm being very abstract and I know it's easier said than done, but these are basics that most people will never do. They'll never do it. It's easy to talk about it like we're talking about it right now, but it's a different story about actually going and having the courage to go do it. Folks, you only have one chance at this that we know of. We don't know what's on the other side. You got one freaking shot to do this life. And many of you are just freaking giving it away. Like you got another life waiting for you in the whim when you pass on from this one. This is not a practice run. This is not a practice run, folks. Don't treat it like a practice run. Like you got some other life waiting for you when you end this one. Even if we can, all the things I said, I think we get recycled back in. It doesn't matter. This life is all that matters, and you got to check off all the things off the list to level up. It's all about leveling up. That's what video games is all about. Pumping in the quarters when I was a kid. Game over, pump it in again. I want to level up, pump in the quarters. I want to play again. Game over, level up. Folks, this is not a practice run. So what are you waiting for? Why are you sitting around letting people suck their energy out of you? Hanging around with these people that are, if you want to call them NPCs, great. That's their job. But a lot of you, you just let it happen. I'm telling you, folks, it's just where it's at right now is eliminating the cancers from your life. That's where it's at. That's where it's at right now. Playing the game, but can't stand the fakery. Free agent in this life. Well, that's on, you see. Okay, so the statement you said, playing the game. Yep, we're all forced to play the game, but can't stand the fakery. That's a low frequency. I can't stand it. Well, that's your primal. Trying to be right and not liking the fake. The fakery there's no such thing as fakery. People are just trying to look good. That's all the human being experience is all about, looking good. Go through Instagram and go look at how many people are like this and it's all about influencing you. They're afraid you're not going to like them. So if I get my lips bigger, if I put in more hair, if I put more makeup on, if I get bigger muscles, maybe you'll like me. And then I'll take a picture of me. Oh, I look good. And I'll take a picture. And then I'll get some subscribers and likes. And my primal dragon is going to feel good about that. That's where a lot of the mentality is in life right now. And it's down in the lower chakra. That's all lower chakra, folks. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying I'm just being realistic. Is that all this me kind of stuff and trying to make people like you because you look a certain way. I don't have anything against looking pretty, looking handsome, looking, fit and athletic. I have nothing against that, but doing it so you can have people like you or get likes or subscribers or whatever and do like that's all primal down here. That's all the primal. And I can see it. If you go on Instagram and you look, I can see all these people living and just they're all Mr. Smiths or Mrs. Smiths. They're all hanging out with the primal dragon. And I used to be there, so I speak from experience. And it's always going to be a sliding scale. You're going to be here in the heart, and you're like, okay, maybe Saturday night tonight, I feel like partying out. I'm going to go hang out with the dragon. And you go out in the town, you get a couple drinks, you're in the midst of the club or the bar, or you go to the restaurant, and you're in the primal. And you're playing, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you do that on the daily, and then you feed that primal, and then you cut it off one day, it may not like it. It may not like that. And it's going to tell you it doesn't like it. And then you may get some phone calls from your friends. Hey, come on, let's go out again. Next thing you know, there's the habit. And now you're in the primal, and now you're playing the game. And you're heavily in the trenches of the game, and you don't even see it. And when you're down in the lower chakras, that's where, a lot of the problems hang out. In the lower realms, it's where the temptations come in. It's where it's easy to get slipped up. So it can be really challenging, folks. And these are all layers of the onion, so to speak. And really, if you're conscious of the now moment, if you know where you're at right now and be like, can you honestly wake up and say, I can't wait to start my day today? That's where I'm at. When I wake up in a place I want to be living at. I wake up and I say, I can't wait. Man, what am I going to do? What am I going to do today? I'm going to have so much fun today. Can't wait to start my day. And I do my thing. And this is what I teach. When I work with clients or I do readings, I try to show people the code. I'm like, this is what you should be doing. And a lot of people that get readings, they just want confirmation. They want to be told. Like, I knew it, Logan. I knew it. Okay, well, now you know it. Go do it. What are you waiting for, man? This ain't a practice run. And don't let anybody get in your way. Cut out all your cancers in your life. Make your temple a temple again. Eat good. Drink clean water. Hang around with cool people that raise your frequency. Don't hang around with people that are, going to hang out in the lower chakra realms all the time. Because you're going to be susceptible to them pulling you down. Because, listen, man, like I'm a huge Bob Proctor fan. Just passed away. I'm a huge fan of Born Rich, the series. And it's not about getting money. It's about becoming rich in your life. And Bob Proctor said something very profound. He said that when you cut people off in your life, when you say, I can't hang out with you anymore, and you don't have to say it just like that, but when you cut people out of your life, they're not going to want you to leave. They're going to fight and kick and scream for you to stay, even if it means doing crazy things. Because you see, a lot of these people are lonely. They're lonely. They need people to hang out with so they're not lonely. Birds of a feather flock together. So when you cut these people that are energy vampires, that are sucking the life out of you, that are your cancers in your life, and you're too afraid to tell them no because you're going to look bad, and they're going to tell their friends about it, and they're going to come back and say, what's your problem? And that makes your identity look bad. You're not going to have anything of that. It's challenging, right? But it's exactly what you got to do. But they're not going to want you to leave when you cut them off, because now there's a void in their life. And they have to fill that void. And sometimes it can be challenging. You may be the only friend they got, but that only friend you got is sucking the life out of you. It's taken from you, and you ain't getting anything in return. I don't know what you're waiting for. And sometimes it's family members. Just because they're blood doesn't mean that you're tied to them. That was my long rant. All right. I just wish that I could work with every single one of you one-on-one. I really, really do. And, I've sacrificed personally. I can, really be from the most authentic parts of my being. I really appreciate each and every one of you, even though I've never met a lot of you, and it's through these texts, these silly texts that we do. I've sacrificed personally a lot to get to where I'm at. I've really sacrificed a lot to get to where I needed to get to. And, I'm an Aquarian / Capricorn. Capricorn in the Vedic, Aquarius in the tropical. And in the Aquarian traits, your 11th house, Aquarian, that house is a house of friendships. And as an Aquarian, throughout my entire life, my code has always been creating friendships with a lot of people. And those friendships, I end up really not playing favorites. I've tried to really treat people the same across the boards. And I got my Uranus in my 11th house. Which is like no rules, and just being very eccentric and being very, odd and weird. And then I have Pluto in my 11th house, which I've been through a lot of friendships. Friends come and go. Pluto, the destroyer, come and go. But I've helped a lot of people over the years, and I'm saying this to all of you to maybe encourage you, like, where is it that you want to be in life? Are you really at the creme de la creme of your life right now, of the decoding life that you have? Have you sacrificed where you need to get to? Or are there some things in your life that you need to let go of and sacrifice and cut these things off from your life? Some of you just need to literally grab your phone and delete somebody out of your phone just so you can have peace. And some of you won't do that because you're afraid your identity is going to look bad. You're afraid of the ramifications of what might happen if you hit delete and block. And I just feel like we're coming into this realm of existence where, that's exactly what we need to do at this point. Is it just so easy to hit delete or block or remove, and that's it, and not look back. If you use the biblical text, right, you have the story of Lot and his wife. And they were leaving the Sodom and Gomorrah as it was getting pelted by brimstone. And they were told not to look back. And what did she do? She looked back. She turned into a pillar of salt. And so did she really turn into a pillar of salt? No. It was a story. It wasn't real. But the story was, when you make a decision to leave fire and brimstone from your life, you do not look back and say, well, did I make the right decision? Oh, they're texting me still. And I feel bad. But yet they stole from you. They treated you like shit. They cheated on you. They did harmful stuff to you. Or maybe it's just as simple as they're just not a good person. And you're going up and they're not coming with you. They don't have any desire to come up with you. They're like, nah, I'm going to hang out down here. When you want to come down here with the dragon, I'll be here waiting for you. And it's there. But why would you ever want to come down and hang out with somebody that is going to take something from you? Folks, it's time for you to decode yourself to the deepest levels of your being and realize you're in a freaking script. And I'm telling you as a tour guide here, you're here listening to this message because everything happens for a reason. And if you believe that, then I'm telling you this, don't let this go unnoticed in your life. Tomorrow, wake up and start to cut the cancers out of your life. If you're not happy with the way you look in the mirror, then make the necessary changes to make yourself happy. This is not a practice run, folks. It's just not. We may never get out of this loop, and you could say, oh, well, I'll just try it next time. But what if you have 30 years of your life left? Are you just going to wing it on that basis? Some of you are acting like there's 6 months left. What if there's 15, 20 years left before the Great Reset? I don't know. When I do this podcast with Jason from Archaics, he's saying a 2040. I'm not going to take that 2040 and say, that's absolute. No, because I stand in neutrality. I'm not going to have any expectations on 2040. Because then your subconscious is going to be tied to that 2040, and then you're going to lean towards, well, I got till 2040. I'll make some changes next year. I got a little bit of time. You see, when you live in the now moment, which is the present and it's the gift, and the present moment is the gift. That's why the word presence is tied to the word presence that you give as the gift. It's all in the phonetics. The now moment is where it's at. Right now. Some of you don't live in the now moment. You're worried about what's going to happen with the pole shift. You're worried about what's going to happen with the New World Order. You're worried about the chip implant. You're worried about what's going to happen with this pandemic. You're too invested in the static on the world stage. And then some of you are just so heavily embedded into your past, and you're letting your past run your future or your now moment. You're still programmed by when you were a kid. You're still programmed by religious things you were programmed with. And your higher self's like, man, just let that shit go. It served its purpose, but we're living in the now moment. And now I'm showing you all these great decodes. I'm showing you the script. I'm showing you how it's predestined. I'm showing you your blueprint, and you're not freaking listening. You're not listening. Because you see, the reason why you're still battling the dragon inside of you. The dragon, your primal, is in the past and it's in the future. And it's worried about what's going on here for survival. And then it's worried about the past, about looking good. And you'll do anything it takes to not look, get screwed over and cheated on. And then when you start looking for those signs of cheating, you're going to attract another partner into your life that's probably going to cheat again. Because that's the energy you're putting out. So you need to eliminate your past and let it go, and open up the rug that you swept everything underneath, pull it out and look at it and say, see you later. I'm not interested in that anymore. And it's really that simple. And then focus on tomorrow and be like, man, today is the day, baby, that I'm going to make my life the best it's ever been, because the now moment's all that matters. Could the toxic people be a lesson and a teaching from the universe? Yes, they could. They could. And to give you a better example, a more positive one. Sometimes I believe people come into our lives like you're single. Let's say you're single right now and you're looking for a partner. Like, I really want to be in a relationship. Okay. And then you meet somebody. And you're like, oh my God, this person's perfect. And the signs match up and you read about them. Oh my God, I'm in love. I'm in heaven. I can't tell them though. I am secretly in love with them. But they're not interested in you. And nothing happens. And you get these expectations. And then you get bummed out. And then you know what your primal's going to do? It's going to start looking at things in yourself like, what's wrong with me? I'm a great person. I look great. You have expectations. See, like Buddha says, the root of all suffering is the things that you expect, right? So when you stop expecting things and study your code and say what's possible, it becomes a lot more easy to live life through. But these people that show up in our lives, I believe these people show up in our lives maybe as a precursor to another person that's coming along. You see, these people that show up, you're like, oh my God, this is a godsend, this person right here, but not interested in you, and it just never amounts to anything. Rather than getting bummed out, maybe you should need to look at that and say, okay, well, the universe was giving me an example, a sample of what kind of person I want to attract in my life. And I needed to sample it. And so that person shows up in your life so you can get a feel or a taste of what it feels like to be around a person like that. And now you know. Now you get the idea of what kind of person you want to attract into your life. And I think it's really just that simple. Really. I really, really do. All right. There isn't much time left. Okay? If there isn't a lot of time left, as Mr. Poop's saying, I just love your avatar. It's kind of funny. If there isn't a lot of time left, then there isn't a lot of time left. I honestly, I don't care. For me personally, anyway, the way I live my life, then the way it is the way it is. Don't care. Great. Bring it. Let's roll with the change. See, I'm so open to anything. So I'm like prepared for anything, and I'm not attached to anything. So like some people think you're going to, like if you believe in the law of one material, if you graduate, if you're 51% service to others, you'll graduate to 5 density. And then you'll escape what's going to happen in the 3 density. Right? Maybe the nightmare that's about to happen, the shitstorm that's about to happen on Earth, if that is really what's going to happen. Those that graduate in the law 1 material, you'll graduate to 5 density and you'll escape. You won't have to deal with this crap. Imagine that. Imagine you have put the work in, you've checked all the things off the box, all that's off the checklist, your service to others, and you're going to graduate to 5 density. Why would you even care what's going to happen? But then again, don't have any expectations. So that's a great story, a great a prophecy, but we don't even know if it's even true. All we can gamble and all we can bet on is right freaking now. That's it. And we know that there's some kind of reset coming, and that's obvious. I mean, no one's using a Rand McNally map, like opening up the map and like, how do I get there? No, you grab your freaking cell phone, you talk into it, tell me, take me here, and it goes in here, and that's it. That's the graduation. Going from analog to digital. So we're moving into a new kind of identity. Whatever that is. And that may not be for everybody. I don't know. But I'm certainly here to encourage all of you, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing to fear. Fear is what's going to prevent you from your best experiences. Fear is what the dirty laundry is. The news. I see some of the people's posts, man. I know what you're watching. Watching too much of the freaking static. You're too enamored by the dirty laundry. That's what you're actually feeding that beast. Some of you love feeding the dirty laundry. You love it. You need your fix. It's like a habit. It's like a drug. You might as well shoot it up. Because of your I see your posts on social media, some of you. I know what you're watching. And then you'll justify it by saying, well, you'll see it's inevitable. It's coming. Well, that's what you've adopted as your belief. And that fractal you may end up living out. But what if you're wrong? What if there's like 30 more years of going through a certain something? And you just wasted 5 years and you could have put 5 years into yourself. And, so that's what I'm saying. Expectation. It holds us back. If I had kids, I might think different. Yes, you are absolutely right. If you're Rooster, if you're saying that, if I had kids, but I don't have children, so I don't have to think that way. But if you do have children, yeah, you have a different kind of perspective in this reality. But that was your journey. That's your code. If that was even directed towards me, Rooster, I don't even know. Would I be a horrible person if I wanted to stop being a wife and mother and go to an island? Well, you see, you signed up for that code. Once you incarnate another life into this reality, you're now responsible for that life. And then obviously there are, the 18 and then they're on their own, but you're always a parent. Right? You brought it, that was your journey, your code to be. Any of you that are parents, no one pushed you into having sex and then having a kid. That was your journey. Not even going to get into free will. I'm just saying is your journey obviously has something to do with children if you have children. And then you got to pony up. So yeah, if you just abandon your family, well, I'm not saying you should feel guilty about it, but I'm saying is why that's your responsibility at that point. It's like if I got a dog right now, I wouldn't just go abandon it. No, it's my responsibility now. I'm an animal lover, right? That's why I consciously sit and I'm saying, because I just thought about it today. I'm like, there's a lot of, dogs here in Mexico, like free roaming dogs. They have great lives though. But I'm like, man, should I get a dog? That'd be kind of cool. Get a furry again. And I'm just like, I don't want the responsibility. I don't want the responsibility and I don't want the heartbreak if something happens to the dog and then I got to feel that heartbreak. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel it. And I don't want the responsibility. And my sacrifice, because part of me wants the dog, but then I look at like, okay, what do I have going on? My journey, my responsibility, I feel like, is helping humanity. And if I got to tend to a dog and take it out and go, it takes into my helping humanity. So I consciously make that decision. Nope, I'm not going to do it. So the same thing, like now we're in this consciousness of the human being experience. And a lot of you, you have a partner, and you're thinking about having a kid. And I'm not here to take away that stuff, but I'm saying is, are you ready for that responsibility and everything that goes into it? Now you're responsible for that. Now you have to sacrifice, and your life will not be your own when you have a child. I don't even need to be a dad to know that. Once you have a kid, your life's not your own. Now you have to sacrifice your life for that child. But that you made that decision. No one's getting you into bed and making you hump. You made that decision, or your journey did. Do I believe if we don't get things right, we get reincarnated back here? I think right now, my level of understanding is that we get reincarnated anyway. I lean more towards you ain't getting out of the game. You're just going to level up. I can't see it any other way at this point. But I don't see that as a bad thing. And I don't look at that as a demise or a debilitating thing. See, I love life. I love life. I love being here. I give thanks for being here. I like the human being experience. And I had proposed this to people. I had said, we're living in the dark age right now. Or we've been told that. We all pretty much here probably side with that. So you're living in the dark age where, things are not authentic. There's a lot of violence and crime and nasty and abuse and just gnarly stuff. But imagine all that got pulled away. And you die and you go to a place. I'm just going to use this as an analogy. You go to heaven and you're sitting in heaven and the world implodes and the board gets wiped clean. Everything made new. And now there's a brand new world where people are using their superpowers. And you're sitting up in heaven and you're looking down and they're saying to you, do you want to go give it another try? You want to go try the game of life again? Right? You have a choice. And I don't even know what to give you as an alternative choice because it's science fiction. I don't even know what the other choice would be. But if you knew that you were going to come back to a paradise or a place where there's no suffering, there's no crime, there's no child sacrificing, there's no trafficking, there's no abuse. If you knew that you can come back to a place like that, would you maybe say, yeah, I want to come back? I think a lot of you would come back. Because again, this life is, we're in the dark age. You were born into the dark age. Not the most fun place to be, right? But if you were born into the golden age, much different. See, a lot of you have sufferings in your life to a major degree. Some of you have little sufferings. But if you can eliminate all your sufferings and live in a place of bliss and peace, serenity, you'd come back. The majority of you would come back. And again, we may not even have a choice in the matter. I mean, if you take the words life after death in numerology, it equals 96, which is yin yang, which tells you through numerology. And that statement, I'm not saying this is the end all, but life after death, let me just double check this for you. Life after death. 56, sorry. So life after death is 56. The words life after death equals 56. The words lights, camera, action equals 56, which is the simulation that we live in. So according to that statement, life after death, you get recycled right back into the game again. So again, folks, if that is what happens, and again, I'm purely speculating, and even if this was factual, let's just say that it is absolutely factual that we all get reincarnated back into the game, and the only difference maker was to make sure you level up. What are you doing to level up right now? Many of you are doing nothing to level up. Yeah, you're decoding stuff. Big deal. It's time to level up. Check that off the list. Because if there's any chance of coming back and becoming a higher piece on the board, you got to do the work now. If that is a requirement. What if it's a requirement? And then you say, well, what if it's not? Okay, but do you want to take that chance? I don't want to take that chance. And I feel like my journey, like my code, always my whole life as a young kid, I've always helped people. Always wanted to help people. Always. And it's never changed for me. So now I just keep going. And so I just encourage all of you, just check it off the list. Act like this is not a practice run. You got one shot at it. Don't waste it. Yeah, of course, those of you that say you don't want to come back, you probably didn't have a good journey. Your code, you don't like your code. But if you could have whatever you want, anytime you want, you'd come back. I know you would. The majority, 99% of you would do it. Have I heard of the 8th sphere before? Yes, I have. The 8th level, the 8th sphere. If you properly synchronize the number 8, it's going to obviously tie to Scorpio, and it's going to tie to the planet Uranus, Father Sky, the ether. So Ben saying, I can't sleep because my skin's itching like crazy. Well, I mean, there's a lot of factors that are involved with that. But again, folks, your skin itches. You're not regular in your bowel movements. You're not hydrated. Something is can you check off the list? Those of you that have any kind of medical conditions, anything, can you authentically sit here right now and say, I drink 3/4 of a gallon of water every single day. Check. Of good water. Check. I take all 91 essential nutrients, vitamins, minerals, omegas, amino acids. Can you check that off the list? I get 6 to 8 hours of sleep every single night. Can you check that off the list? I get out in the sun as much as I can to get the vitamin D and the benefits from the sun rays. Can you check that off the list? I get out every day and I ground and put my feet on the ground or in the beach. Can you check that off the list? You see, these are all layers that I feel a human being must check off the list, and then do that for about a month, maybe 60 or 90 days. Then you come back to the table and you can start to look at a diagnosis of what's going on with your body. But until you check off all those things off the list, you cannot come to a proper diagnosis. I don't care what it is. Your body's not balanced and you're not doing all these things, you cannot come to a proper diagnosis. It's just, you can't. And again, there's exceptions, right? There's going to be exceptions. But if you can honestly and authentically say you're doing all these things I've proposed for 90 days, not 30 days, not 21, 3 months. That's the magic time. 90 days. So you can saturate the body with everything, get the sun rays, sun gaze, ground, break away from the static, fill your mind with nice things, cut out the cancers in your life. Do that for 90 days. Then you can diagnose yourself. But I think it's challenging to do that until you properly diagnose yourself, until you do all these things and then figure out what's wrong with you. '96 is the yin yang. Yeah, I'm going to drop a nice little medical thing for you. Thanks, Sabrina. She had sent me this on social media. If you take certain oils and you put it in your belly button absorbs. Obviously, that's where the umbilical cord was. So you may want to, if you resonate with this message, you may want to go look up putting oils in the belly button and having those absorb. And you can put different things, different oils in the belly button for them to absorb and to, change certain things in your life. So check it out. "5G is frequency, and that is making humans have issues." I think it's part of it, yes. But again, you got to go back to the basics. Are you doing all the things that I've mentioned? Are you checking off all the things off the list? See, I can honestly say I can check them all off the list. I take my 91 essential nutrients every day. I drink the 3/4 of a gallon of water. I eat a plant-based food regimen. I eat a lot of alkaline foods, right? I eat a lot of alive foods. I ground. I get in the sun. I sun gaze. I go in the water. These are all the things that I do. I can check them all off the list. So if I were to have something wrong with me, I go to the doctor. I can say, can you give me a diagnosis? I know the diagnosis would be based on something truer to the source than something frivolous as I'm not getting the nutrients in my body. I put my age urine into my belly button. I'm not into age urine. There's a reason why it's a waste product that comes out of your body. I know that Santos would completely say that he's all about that. But there's a reason why it's a waste product, in my opinion anyway. I think there's a lot of other things you can do besides that, but I've done it one time. Drank my urine one time. That was it. Well, if Claire saying I go out I sleep right away, but I wake up with a head full of worries. Well, again, if you consciously are aware that you have a head full of worries, you need to go to the source of that. What's causing these worries, Why are you worrying? And what's feeding that? Or what are you feeding with these worries? These are things, again, these are just, try to simplify your life as much as you can. You know, my life, I can use it as an example. Like, I could sell my lifestyle. And I've had the luxurious lifestyle. I'm not opposed to it. I love luxurious things, but I'm a simple guy now. You know, when you buy that Ferrari or Porsche or Range Rover or expensive house, great things to have, but then you got to insure it. You got to pay taxes on it. There's ramifications if you don't do some of these things. If you have a nice car, you got to park it somewhere. You got to have it maybe hefty insurance. There's always some kind of risk involved with having some kind of thing you have in your life. So like, I mean, I moved here in Mexico. I don't have a car. I walk everywhere. And the benefits of walking everywhere, my circulation gets improved. I get out in the sun. I meditate while I'm walking. I don't have the worries about insuring anything. Don't have to make any payments. Don't have to worry about upkeeping anything. I put myself in that position and I have less worry in my life just by eliminating the car. And if I were to move back to the US, I would really, really strive to move to a place that I could walk everywhere. Now, I'm not saying I would never buy a car, but I'm saying is that I would rather move to some place where I could walk everywhere. It's easier. It's just easier. I don't need to have a car if I don't need to have a car. It's just easier not to have one. Simplified my life. And I'm a minimalist. So just because there's no worry in my life other than the worry that gets created by, you know, the body, something happens, you get a headache or whatever. Yeah, especially we were talking about deworming. Those of you that have pets, especially the dogs, the furry ones. Those of you that have pets and you have not gone through the process of using certain protocols to get rid of parasites in the stomach, you should. At least every 6 months to a year, you get the black walnut hull, the cloves, and the wormwood. Those three: wormwood, black walnut hull, and cloves. You can get them in one capsule. All of you that have dogs and cats, if you haven't done this in years, wow, they say 70% of all pet owners have some kind of parasite or something related to that pet. So if you haven't done that, I would encourage you to look into it. Get one of those pH, the limitless light. Get one of those pH strips and put it into the aged urine. It's the most alkaline water you can get. Yeah, but it's still waste. If it was supposed to be used for other purposes, which you can, this is just my belief again, it's waste. It comes out of you. It's meant to be flushed. You can use it for other things, but there's so many other benefits that you could do that don't stink and they're nasty and it's not a waste product. And remember, you can be too alkaline, that'll kill you. So the whole alkalinity thing, it's base. You want to be neutral base. Acid, alkaline will kill. Too much alkaline will kill, too much acid will kill. Base, you want to be base. That's my take on it. Like I said, I talked to Santos, he'll tell you, no, I'm full of shit. Aged urine, where it's at. He's got it everywhere. It grosses me out, man. I guess that's probably why, and I tried it, so at least I say I could try it. All right, well, I think I'm going to call it a night, folks. It's it's not too late for me, but I've been speaking for a while. It's probably been like Yeah, it's been almost a 4 hour. So, I think I'm going to call it a night. I wanted to just really say to all of you that I really, really hope that you make the changes in your life that will give you the best experiences possible. No one can do anything to you. And I would really encourage you to observe the words that you speak, especially when you say, "You made me feel that way." You see, that is impossible. No one can make you feel a certain way. So when you get in the habit, a lot of you are in the habit of saying, you know what, you made me feel this way. Nope. No one can make you feel any way. You got to do it to yourself. So you should stop saying you made me feel. No one can make you feel any certain way. That's your identity, wanting to be right and not taking the responsibility of making yourself feel that way. That's your dragon. So I'm just going to encourage all of you, really focus on your primal, your lower chakras, and talk to them. Ask the dragon what it wants. I mean, you automatically probably know what it wants. Maybe you need to have a conversation with it. And then, again, focus on the cancers in your life, getting rid of them. And just maybe this is not a practice run. And you get one shot at this life. And you should check off all the things off the box that we talked about tonight. And give yourself the best shot at whatever it is at the end of the rainbow, the prize. Whether it's graduation, if it's reincarnation, you level up because you did the necessary things. You checked off all the things off the list. You take full responsibility of your life, not blaming anything or anybody for the way you feel, the way you think or act or behave. Take the full responsibility. And you do that by decoding yourself and looking at your code, knowing what you're dealing with. Knowing your blueprint. Okay? So I'm just going to encourage all of you to do that moving forward. I hope this really helped you tonight or this morning. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm sending you guys a lot of love, you guys and gals in the decoding world. Keep the decodes coming. And just remember, these are just my opinions and truths. I'm just a tour guide. All right? I'm here just to show you the things that I've found and discovered. I'm not any better than anybody else. I have my code. You have your code. And that's it. That's all there is to it. My code does not have anything to do with your code. We may have similarities, but your code is your code. My code is my code. I don't wake up in your shoes. You don't wake up in mine. I'm not going to ask you your opinion on what you think I should do. So if you're in the habit of asking, call up your friend, what do you think I should do? Why are you doing that? They're going to tell you, they're going to give you their opinion based on their code. It's not your code. Go within. Stop talking as much. Stop paying attention to the static on the world stage. Stop talking about these organizations that you don't like because you're feeding them. Just stop doing that. Start taking the energy that you've been giving to these organizations that you don't like and despise and resist, and we're going to get them and they're going to burn in flame. They're going to go down in hell. And that energy is just low frequency. And just take that power back and put it into your life and say, okay, I'm going to take all that energy that I was putting out in the world stage. Now it's mine. And now I'm going to put it out. What am I going to do with it? I'm going to put it out into the world stage. I'm going to make my life the best it's ever been. And I'm going to do that by, a lot of you have to eliminate things from your life. So when are you going to do it? Part of it is decoding yourself. Knowing where you stand, all of you should be taking the personality type test. Know your personality type. Are you dominant introvert, extrovert? Are you a feeler or a thinker? Study yourself. And then don't let anybody take that code away from you. A lot of you like to listen to other people's code and you take their opinions like, I'm going to do what they're doing. That's their code. Okay? What do you want to do? What do you really want to do with your life? What is it going to get? What is it going to take for you to wake up and say, today, it's a new day and I can't wait to start my day today? What does that day look like for you? That's what I'm going to encourage you to move towards for decoding reality. Okay? So, I'm going to end this with, let's see, where am I going to end this with? I'm going to keep it in the cars. So this song right here that I'm going to play to end this transmission, to all you great decoders, I'm going to send you guys much love. Thank you so very much. Those of you that are interested in reading, just send me an email, decodeyourreality@gmail.com, or go to my website, cosmicsugar.org. And just go click on the personal readings, and I got 3 readings I do. Okay? If you feel like you want the code done for you, I have a course coming out. I'm working on that. I don't have a specific date, but it will be for those of you that want to do the work yourself. You love to do research. Got that course coming out. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a game changer for a lot of people. So stay tuned for that. So I'm going to end this transmission with a song that I feel is talking about as the architect. So listen to this song and the words. This song, I feel, is the architect talking to all of us about the game of life. And it's about you, and it's about me. Okay? So here it is. And I'm, with that in mind, folks, as I say, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Till next time, we'll see you later.